Gathered friends, listen again to our legend of discovering we were war criminals in a past life.
Yes! War criminals! Yes!
Thank you for laughing again.
That's my favorite thing to be, is a war criminal!
I am your host, Max Dudek, and I'm joined with my other regulars. Introduce yourselves, please, in whichever manner you want.
Oh, we're doing this again. Okay.
Do it every time we do this.
Yeah, we're starting over.
I am the cat goddess, and I am Meow.
I am all of me. Shadow the Hedgehog streams soon. I am Liam, also known as Vahkiti. I got it right this time, except you don't know when I got it wrong because that recording was scrapped. Hee hee.
Oh.
He accidentally gave the pre-Civil War pronunciation of his name last time.
Anyway, so
I talked over someone.
So besides our regulars, we also have our guests for today.
Indeed.
I'm Nicrophora. You can call me Nikki if that's too many syllables.
I love your voice.
Thank you. I've been told this before.
By me, specifically, many times today.
And I'm LostHead, or Don't Lose Your Head, whichever you prefer. I should have picked an easier nickname. You also should have taken your own advice.
Oh my goodness.
It kind of reminds me, like, I'm going through, like, 810 registrations, and one of the usernames that I found for a project was just Dick Cheney made money off the Iraq War. And God, that's a mouthful for a username.
That's a hell of a name.
What a bummer.
So, Max, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about a bunch of stories set in the Bionicle universe made by the community.
And two of the writers are here.
Exactly.
Goodness gracious, it's almost like all the other weeks.
Yes. Someone in this room is a murderer. I wonder who.
We won't be able to do them in chronological order, just for the sake of timing. Logistics wise.
I don't remember what order I read them in.
It's okay. I will be running it. I'll be telling you which ones we're doing.
I think canonically Invasion comes last in everything we read this week, doesn't it?
No.
I think Even Exchange would be last.
Yeah, that one's 2008, so I think that.
Yeah, it's right before Destiny War.
Okay.
All this talk of who comes last, and you think I'm the one that's too lewd.
Party har.
All right. So the first story on our list is one of the short stories. It's called "Call to Arms," and it's very special. So for our guests here, how we handle this is I go through a summary of the story, and then we generally discuss it after the summary is done.
Indeed.
Assuming we don't discuss everything during the summary.
Yeah,
and
usually
interject constantly.
Yeah, usually people interject and have like little comments on things as I go through the summary. But
I have very bad ADHD.
Yeah, but I try to do summary first, and then we discuss it like in depth.
Yes,
what we think.
Usually the entire show needs to be made around me.
So anyway, Call to Arms starts with this fact. Jala meets with Huki in Metru. Oh dear. And he informs him that Metru Nui is dying, which is a bit of a bummer. We're going to Bummer Town with this one.
God is dead. And
just a minor. God is dead. Just minor inconvenience.
By the way,
they go to Metru and they spread the word to Kongu, who is also like, come on, man.
Well, that sucks. Anyways,
but while they're discussing that, Tomorrow gets into some peril with one of the chutes that they're the Matorn in general kind of like repairing stuff at this point in Metru Nui. And
due to the spiders, yes.
So after Jala and Kongo work together to save. What's
Tarzan nonsense happens.
Yes. So after Jala and Congo work together to save Tamaru, Jala then goes to recruit Nuparu, and he's like, "Oh, but why do you need me? I'm just a little nerd.
I'm just a little guy. It's my birthday."
But, so eventually he decides to agree to Jala's little thing, his little scouting party or whatever, his little organization.
Shenanigan.
Mm-hmm. He RSVPs, and that's nice. So next is Holly. So that's who Jala wants to see, but Jala's having trouble finding them. So he asks Nixie, our favorite astrologer, where Holly is. Nixie is being very kind of cagey about it, not really sharing. But she has second thoughts, and she tells Jala where Holly is going. And then is like, please don't tell Holly I told you anything.
So then he goes and tells Holly that he told her.
Exactly.
She told him.
First thing he does, he sees Holly and is like, yo, Nixie told me where you were.
So we know what Jala's word is worth now.
Couldn't have even just said, yo, I guess that you would be crazy enough to do this thing by yourself.
I just came up here to take in the view one last time, and I just happened to run into you here. What a coincidence!
And where Holly is in Tawahi on the surface, which is radical. It's quite a journey. And Maku's there too, so they're loading supplies onto a boat, and Holly and Maku were planning to go search for the Toanuva themselves.
And be wet.
Hey now.
That's what you do when your boats.
When your boats.
True.
You're wet.
So then Jala tells Holly and Maku the fate of the Toanuva, what he's been told at least. And Holly's upset that the Turaga have kept secrets and stuff still. Which is, that's not cash money.
They
That's stinky and rude.
Old people be keeping secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Those damn boomers.
Those damn boomies.
Which is, it's also just after they were like, "Hey, let's tell you all that's been happening." Okay, now that we got all the old secrets out of the way, let's get new ones.
You must acquire new secrets.
These secrets are stale.
Secrets are so fun.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so after Holly is convinced to join the team, which wasn't hard to do, Jala goes to Metru and recruits Matoro, and Matoro was like, "But I'm nothing. I'm a lame guy."
And they're like, and Jala's like, "Yeah, exactly. You're perfect."
We need a normal person.
we need just a guy.
We're all so cool.
Stuff.
We need a regular guy.
We need someone to balance it out.
We need someone to make us look cooler.
We need someone to humble us.
And later in 2007, Jala was like, "That is not what I meant. That is not what I meant."
Anyway, so
we need a fall guy. Wait, no, that's not what I meant.
So Maku unfortunately is not able to join them on the actual journey because she is assigned with helping the team escape unnoticed, which that is an important job. So as Maku and Huki are going to the meetup, Takanuva catches them and he's like, "What the hell is happening?"
One thing I did want to point out too, real quick, is something that may need a little work in the future is, depending on which story, who wants to do it, but I noticed when we were reading this, it was a bit of a continuity error between this and Heart of Metru Nui, specifically with Maku.
Yes.
Where in the latter, she has no idea what's happening here.
That's true. That's true.
Yes, indeed.
I noticed that too. That was a neat little thing.
She could just be lying.
She is
Possibly.
around the other
No.
corner. She's like, yeah,
It's possible for babies to lie.
No, but she's too her anger is too genuine in the next story. Anyway,
She did really want to go on the adventure.
I mean, she was
just
that
because
age,
she
yeah.
understood why she couldn't. That doesn't mean I really wanted to go. I really wanted to go on the adventure.
So yes, so Takanuva invites himself, and they start leaving for Voya Nui.
Every party needs a chaperone
Exactly. It's great if it's a Toa.
and a designated driver. Or
You really
whatever.
think Takanuva is going to be either of those things for this group? He's probably the most irresponsible.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Takanuva, we already established that Takanuva is the Toa of drunk driving. His first thing that he ever did when he got a car was crash it into Makuta's door.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He couldn't have kept it for something else. Alas,
For heck's
It's almost
sake.
like he was a baby last week.
you're right.
He never
Maybe
got
a
his
few
license.
hours ago.
He didn't
Anyway.
have time to get his license.
You're right.
That car could not have been up to code.
It's a very
I don't even think
different version
licenses are a
of.
thing on Matanui. They ride animals.
But they are in Metru Nui. They probably have a permits. They probably have a permits
Ramp permit.
But
office.
still
And
no
who's in
need.
charge of enforcing it?
honestly,
Horkham?
No one. They hope
you
and
need
pray.
a permit. You need a permit just to speak in Kometru. Let's be real here.
To be honest, sounds like my kind of town. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, that's what happens in the story. Now we can fully discuss what we thought of it.
Indeed.
I did
I like it.
I did like the little attention to detail in the part with Nixie where she points out like, this second sky is very strange.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that. I'm just like,
In a
was
lot of
actually-
official media, it's very rarely, if ever, pointed out that there's much of any difference between the two. And that's not helped by the fact that a lot of media depicts Spherus Magna as having two suns. Actually, it's just the movies that do that. I don't think they really understood when they were making the movies that the twin suns were, originally at least, supposed to just be a Matoran universe thing.
Nope, Spherus Magma got two sons. I've declared it now. It's canon.
Since you mention it, when I first showed the story to Toganal, he actually did have to correct me on that. I originally had her saying something like, "Oh, there was, it's the same two suns down here, but a different sky." So
Right.
I am also fallible to that.
Well, I'm not sure if it's ever really been canonically established that there is only one sun for Solus Magna, and I think we briefly touched on the video from Knowledge Tower, or video series actually, a few episodes back, that determined that it is possible for Spherus Magna to have two suns. It would just be it would have to be a very specific kind of orbit that would make it so, depending on the season, there would be a different number of visible suns in the sky. But it is technically possible to have a binary star system that sometimes only has one of its suns visible and other times both.
Honestly, that sounds kind of cool. I like that. It's twin sun season.
Well, I can't
Well,
do
that's
it if I
science for
shut
you.
up now, can I?
I liked that. Something.
I like it.
Mhm.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I liked that this fic had a focus on civilian life. Like the small people, the little people of this world.
The little
Just
people.
Something that I've always, appreciated in Bionicle fics. I feel like people can focus on, the big, exciting
The big
endeavors of the
voice.
Toa, but they miss out on what it would be like just to live in this world. And I liked that this was a component.
It's sort of the same issue that Marvel had been running into recently, where it's like, not everything needs to have world-ending stakes. Sometimes having a small-scale conflict in a slice-of-life story can be just as entertaining, if not more so, because it enriches the universe on a lower level.
Yeah,
when WandaVision ended with a generic superhero battle, the series, when WandaVision's season finale was a generic superhero battle, the world was gonna end, and there's lasers and the world, and it just. Why? This was just this was just a movie. This was just a show about a lady having a mental breakdown, and she happens to be a reality warper.
Because it needed to tie into Multiverse of Madness, otherwise they couldn't have their all-encompassing franchise.
Okay, but see, the thing is, it could have done that without having a big epic battle.
Oh no, that's not me defending it. That's just me saying, like, hey, maybe not everything needs to connect to everything else in that way.
I think we're following this tangent a little too much.
Welcome to our Marvel podcast, everybody.
Yeah.
I like the way the Visions fought. They were like, boom, 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 shoot, laser, laser. Hey, wait a minute, ships, boats. Okay, moving on.
But yeah, as you were saying, Nicrophora, I also agree. I like the more like seeing it from the perspective of like the regular people living in this world. Because I think personally some of the best pieces of Bionicle media are those stories. Like, I mean that's kind of a cold take, to be honest. You know, Metru Nui online game, that's pretty good. You know, that's not a controversial opinion or anything. Yeah. But you know,
I'm telling Greg first to that.
Oh,
don't think he never recognized that game.
I love Greg. I love Greg. But the idea that he just didn't get that he just flat out told us. He was like,
I don't give a shit about that game.
I just never understood Kapora.
Kapora is weird. He is hard to get one's head around, but that's
I know,
his
that's
charm.
what he said. But like when we did our episode and we asked him about what Kapora's deal was, and he was like, I don't know.
That's so classic Greg of just like, what? This isn't something I can fit into my understanding of the hard magic system? Then
don't forget as well that Kapora wasn't just an invention of the Metru Nui online game. If I recall correctly, I would have to double check the recently released story bible for 2001, but I'm pretty sure that most of those characters were actually broadly established by Alistair Swinnerton.
The point
Templar was just building off of what he already had written down there.
The point is, the little people are some of the best parts of this stuff, and they're just and
they have interesting lives.
Yeah,
they're not usually focused on much in the canon unless they're going to immediately be made into big boys.
I hope we get some Matoran and Agori stories at some point.
Yeah, good.
You mentioned it, never mind.
Does anyone else have anything to say about Call to Arms?
I made a meme of I took the Tarzan DVD cover. I think I took the Tarzan poster. And I put Kongu's mask on it. I put Kongu's mask on Tarzan. I put Tamaru's mask on Jane, and I put Jala's mask on what's-his-face. and I didn't know what to do with the Gorilla Kid and the elephant. I didn't know what to do with them, so I just left them uncovered.
So I have to write them into the story. Great, thanks.
And that is basically the only time I've done anything ever for this show.
What were you going to say, Levi?
I was just going to say, I think that Nicrophora's really just summed it up here. This one is just a really nice little look at the smaller people's lives in the universe that we're exploring here. Like, two of the things that I always look for in these stories is a focus on the little characters and an internal view of characters' emotional states. And this is a very good example of the former.
It's also a really good example of I like the stories that try to build up the world inside the GSR and give you it tries to put a picture in your head of what these places look like. And this is a very underexplored period of Metru Nui's history, mainly because it lasted for like 2 weeks and then it was like falling from the ceiling, but I digress.
That's true.
There's a similar thing. I did all of my reading for the next episode as well. And there are similar instances in Reign of Shadows, The Untold Stories, talking about how Zia and Stealth look that I really like.
So, someone mentioned earlier about like going to Tawahi. I don't know how that gap works. I still don't fully understand it. I don't like the way they get to Mata Nui from Metru Nui. So I think, in retrospect, because the reason why is because in, I think, Legends 2, Joller mentions like, oh, we should have listened to Holly and gone to the surface. So I want to do like a quick nod to that, but I still don't fully understand how the gap works, and I don't think I will.
Oh, like how they actually
the
get there? Yeah,
like from up to, because they go back and forth. Like the Tomanuva go back up to the Borak chambers later on. So like they're not locked off for Mata Nui. They just fail.
I think you just do the thing from Mata Nui to Metru Nui, but in reverse.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad
Thank
you
you,
like
Weird
this.
Barbie. That's really helpful.
You know, I'm glad you like this. I had a lot of fun getting to explore this sort of area.
I love it.
Yeah, this was a lovely story.
Did you wrote this?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
I also
Good.
like seeing I like these transitional periods between huge main story pieces. It was probably my favorite part of Island of Doom, actually, was the beginning part where they cover this era, where everyone's getting together from Metru Nui and going on their way to get to Voya Nui. Because it's just like, 2 or 3 chapters, and then they're in Karzani, and then we're back to big stakes.
No,
And then we never hear about Metru Nui again until it's under siege by Predoc or something.
My favorite part of Island of Doom was all the just genuinely like horrifying shifts and sudden darker turns that terrified me as like a 9-year-old. I would read that book again and again, being like, "Oh my god! Oh my god!"
Yeah,
like
they
those
go
guys?
hard.
They're
They went hard in that year.
enslaved.
I like
Yeah.
that. Anyway, yes, let us. I think we've covered Call to Arms pretty well, so I shall continue to the heart of Metru Nui, which is not Likan. It's actually the Storm.
No.
You'd have to be silly to think it's Likan.
Silly.
But it does mention Lee the Surfer at some point, which I
Well,
did quite
he's just a
like.
radical dude, man. He's freaking smacks the lip. Wapow.
Kerchoo.
Anyway,
Ciao.
so the story starts with Takanuva informing the Turaga Council that he saw Makuta, and Duma is like, that might have been a different one. And Takanuva's like, what?
That happened at the end of Call to Arms, I believe. Did it not?
No,
or was
end
it
of Invasion.
No.
Ah, right.
That
the
was,
end of
that was
Invasion,
the
that's
story
right.
with Kratak Kal
Right.
that we covered on an earlier episode. But so so Duma just kind of like gives Takanuva the lore dump on Makuta as a species.
But I love that scene where it's just like, I saw the Makuta. Which one? What? Excuse you?
Huh?
What do you mean?
The
Which one?
Commonologists
I
side
saw-
eye each other.
I saw Makuta. Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure you saw our Makuta? What?
I just need a That's going to be the thumbnail for this episode. It's just going to be Takanuva doing that meme of the what?
It's the equivalent of like, oh man, I think was that guy looks like Hitler. Wait, which one?
So after that, he's a little bit like, oh man, they're keeping secrets again. I could have known this. This would have been nice. So he leaves the Colosseum, and then he finds Maku and Taipu. His old buddies from when he was small, when we were playing Flash games on our browser.
I love how Taipu's entire characterization in this story is basically just, I want to go on an adventure. I love him. Yeah. He's a treasure.
Yeah. He wants to experience new things, man.
So is Maku's, but angry.
I want to go on an adventure.
I want to get an adventure. I want to go.
So Takanuva accidentally lets slip that Jala and his group have gone south to an island on the surface. Woo!
And Jala and his group have flown south with a wind.
And then Maku's like, well, let's go and help them. And unfortunately, she gets salty when Takanuva's like, nah, can't do that. I gotta stay here.
Was this I forget if he actually mentioned, like, he can't go. Was this before? I'm pretty sure this is after he already led them off and
this is after he already came back from.
This is early 2007.
Yeah, obviously this takes place after he came back because he's here, my guy.
Did he mention to Maku that, like, he physically can't pass through the barrier?
No, I don't think so, because he's not supposed to be telling them this to begin with. So he's kind of, like, leaving that out. You know, because he's still, the Turaga are like, don't tell anyone.
That would have been important information for Maku in this case. It's like, we should go help them. I physically cannot leave.
But he's got to be professional.
Yeah, there's a no tall boys allowed sticker on the
because he went with the Jalanas group thinking he could go with them.
Yeah.
But now he knows he can't go with them, so Maku goes.
I'm just imagining, like, the door to Karzani has one of those signs on it outside of, like, carnival rides, but it's just like, you must be this short to enter this ride.
You must be this dark on the inside.
It wasn't like a shadow barrier who's just getting whacked in the
is
stomach.
The kind of guy who would have a, you must be this short.
So anyway, Inko Metru, Area, however you say it, Area. I'm gonna call him Area.
It's Area.
Okay,
yeah. We had so many discussions about this on the first season.
Okay, I think we came out with that. It's pronounced. It rhymes with it rhymes with derriere.
Yeah.
Don't pronounce it like Area.
Okay, so Area is disposing of a Kikanalo carcass that died eons ago during the Vizorak nonsense.
Picoleno.
I particularly like how it's just like, there's a corpse of a giant Rahi inside this knowledge tower. Do the archives need it for study? Nah, just throw it in the ocean.
Well, you know, that's what you gotta do. Someone's gotta do it.
Someone's gotta do it. It's not like look, they do eat, but like it doesn't. It's just gonna leave the corpse. What are they gonna do with the corpse of
it's gonna get dried like a dried fruit.
Well, I figured it would be something.
Picanalo jerky.
Admittedly, that would make it easier to dispose of.
I thought it would be something that the archives could use for study or something like that. I don't know.
They're not
they
ready.
don't want it. They don't want it. They're not ready for this. They're not ready for this.
We've already got too many dead kangaroos. We can't store one more.
Guys, this one's been in the knowledge tower for 1,000 years. Yeah. It's smelly.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute.
What?
Liam, what do you think a Kikalano is?
It's like a kangaroo, is it not?
It's like a rhino.
Well, it's like a combination between a rhino and a kangaroo.
It's
they move
in the movie,
like kangaroos.
It's more like a rhino.
Or
something. I don't know. It's a thing. It's a Kikanalo. A Kikanalo looks like a Kikanalo. It's its own thing.
They have the temperament and destructivity of rhinos, but they move around more like kangaroos.
That is true.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, I only built Lecon, so I don't know.
I guess. You know. Yeah. It's like what if the top half of a rhino, but the bottom half of a kangaroo? I never really thought of that. I was just wondering why these Why
Yeah.
are these hippos robbing?
The set is actually more kangaroo-like than the movie model.
You're
because
definitely right, Liam.
They depict it more as bipedal in the set, where the movies are more quadrupedal, but they still hop around more than run.
That's
Why
true.
did I
That is
say
very
it?
true.
Why did-
It's the horn that throws people off.
Yeah.
Why did I say hippos?
Hippos, kangaroos, same thing.
Well, hippos and rhinos have a similar vibe.
Yes, they both hop. They both hop like kangaroos.
Anyway, moving on. Aria disposes of the body, and then he sees a bunch of icebergs on the horizon. No, we're not there yesterday.
And he
Why is
thinks, I wonder if I can hide dead bodies up there.
I want that as like a clip from this episode and possibly the title. So anyways, Aria disposes of the body.
He's got to do
And
what he's
then
got
he
to
sees
do.
some
like a
icebergs
black
and wonders
chunk.
about hiding dead bodies in there.
So yes. So he sees the icebergs, and the icebergs are what's important here. Because, they just appeared. And, he's like,
Those were
That's
here
weird.
yesterday.
yeah. So, then we go somewhere else. We see Hafu and Kopek together. And
I love this scene so much.
I love it too. It's so funny. This story got actual like cackles out of me a few times. It was very funny.
Anything that makes Hafu like, how do I put? I don't want to say that makes him look like an ass, but he is a bit of an ass, and it's funny every time.
I like seeing him get humbled. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
I don't know how to articulate what I like about it, but I like this. Therefore, that's all you need.
yes, so he and Kopek are having a little ice sculpting competition, and Hafu gets started, and he's working on it for an hour, and then it turns out he's just making stick figures, and Kopek's like, "What the, bruh? I've been waiting here for so
Hafu
long, and you're
original.
making little stick boys. Get out
I'm
of
not going to put
here!"
this on my fridge, man. Come on.
Another Hafu original.
I do love the another half original thing.
Then Maku arrives, and to discuss Takanuva with our boys Hafu and Kopek, and they discuss. That's what I have in my notes.
So they came to have a discussion, and they did it. The end.
I have to. There's a lot that happens in this story. So anyway,
Yes.
so they discuss Takanuva's situation and him being, him doing what he's doing. The next day, Aria meets with Vizola.
And Kopek points out to Hafu that he needs to put ice in the freezer.
Yeah, it's melting, and he's like, "Oh,
And then Hafu is all like, poopies!
my ice is melting." The
Oh
next
no, our table! It's broken!
The next day, the icebergs have not melted, and Vizola comes in to meet with Aria to discuss them. So they take the boat that Vizola came in on. They go investigate the icebergs, but then they are attacked by some scary rocky combiners.
No, more interestingly, they have an existential discussion about hey, you ever
Remember
Yeah,
when
but-
you were a stalker?
That was the funniest part to me. Mostly because it made me picture like what it must have been like to be Vizsla during the 2004 retellings, and just like have your village leader go up there and tell the entire island like, hey, yeah, you were my student and you have this like weird, creepy obsession with me, and it was really cringe and everyone disliked it. And you were kind of genuinely disliked for it. You're like,
If Bionicles could blush, she would be blushing so hard. She would be so. She
well,
had
that's
to
why
have
they
been
wear
so
the masks,
embarrassed.
obviously.
Yeah, that's why they wear the masks. And like Aria, like none of the set Matoran from 2004 had like were like good were like good people. Like they were great
They were all
characters
kind of
in that they weren't good. They were very well presented bad people.
Yeah,
And
well,
yet,
they
for
were
some
all
reason-
manipulated in some way by the Dark
Yeah.
Hunters.
I don't think there's an
Akmu.
issue with Tahuti. What did Tahuti do wrong?
Oh, Tahuti was great, actually. I forget.
We all love Tahuti.
I don't
love
remember
Tahuti.
anything. I don't remember anything bad.
I like how
about
they're all
Tahuti.
just kind of a scummy, low grade, like just kind of like unpleasant, but
Yeah.
not like actively like cartoonishly evil or
And
anything.
I guess Arie didn't have anything necessarily wrong either with him.
I'd like
He was just a
jealousy.
lazy. He was just a lazy pint.
Exactly.
It's just kind of miffed at the whole Metru for
guess
different
that's
reasons.
why he's. I guess that's why he in particular is like, hey, you ever think about how we were live on Metru Nui and all that, and Vizula, because she probably had the most embarrassing revelations of all of them. Was like, no, I don't want to have this conversation. Stop talking.
Yeah.
I do like.
Orkham just wanted to was just like, I'm just cautious, dog.
Yeah, I do like how.
It's like, oh, the worst you can say about me is that I'm boring. Great.
Well, one thing
And
I do like about this story, and actually kind of tying into one that I read last night from LostHead, current work in progress for Vision of the Great Beings, is I really like these stories that focus on those Metru Nui Matoran a little more and sort of touch on their background before they had their memories wiped in some instances, and have them grapple with the implications of that a little bit. It makes them very unique characters, because a lot of the other Matoran, we don't really hear about like many differences or any details about them when they were on Metru Nui. Like, the most we hear about Takua is that he wandered away so frequently that he had a Vahkiti stationed to his forge, and that's about it.
Enemy of the cops.
Yeah.
Based.
And we get a bit about Jollar, like
All Vahkiti are Paraka.
Yeah,
We haven't really
Enough
touched
of
on
this.
the fact that everybody gathered around the Turaga listening to the stories when they just gave such vivid descriptions of how Akmu has always been just the worst person.
The worst man.
Well, I'll defend Akmu for this because the man was literally being extorted by Dark Hunters. I can't
Okay.
imagine many people who would do a better job in that situation.
the Turaga have him sitting in the corner wearing like a dunce cap.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true.
like, yeah, that bitch Ahmed.
Kongu would literally have done the same thing in his position.
Yeah,
apparently.
I mean, we literally did see that, yeah.
Congo did do this, yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, Akmu kind of did suck, though.
Yeah, he was still an unpleasant guy.
He definitely
still
did well in the
unpleasant.
role.
Yeah, and they were and everybody listening to the story was probably just like, yeah, nodding, like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that
makes
tracks.
sense. whereas Vizola, anyone that happened to be friends with her on Matanui,
Just like scooting away.
just like scooting
On the
away
ground.
from her when hearing about her, and she's just
And her
mortified, like,
creepy,
oh
like,
my
room
god,
full of Nakama pictures.
yeah, just like.
I
Just
can't
like-
believe that's like a canon thing. That's like just in the text. It's the most
Yeah.
unhinged detail in
Yeah.
the entire
love
franchise.
that detail.
Just
Yeah.
the lesbian stalker shrine.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting on a slight tangent here. So yeah, they're attacked by Rocky that are, they're got a weird color scheme because they're combiners. So combiner sets, combo models, if you will. And so they manage to escape just barely, and the Rocky don't pursue them. Thank goodness gracious. So then they warn the other Matoran, and Kopek realizes that he's the one in charge. He's got seniority here because the people with the most authority have gone to Voyanui.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh damn, I gotta step up here. And then our boy Tahuti, who never did anything wrong, identifies the Rocky as Frostellus, which, that's a cool name.
Kopek steps up to the plate and he's just like, I need to speak more than ellipses now. Oh no.
Aw, damn it. So yes.
Don't worry, it won't last.
Thank goodness.
Is this the first time the Frostellas have actually, done stuff?
Nah.
Well, they killed all of Lecon's team.
Yeah, that's what they did before in the
but
books.
but like
Off screen.
a story about them doing stuff.
Oh, no.
that's half the characters in Bionicle. That's
the Frostaless
all the Dark Hunters.
The Frostaless are really cool, but we never get to see them doing stuff.
I mean,
and now we do.
They appear in the story. They're just not like the focus of it. In the story with Lee Khan and his team and with the Makoki Stone, they're like mentioned.
Right, that's the backdrop for the Paraka.
Yeah, they're like in the background, right. And it gives the context of what they are and what they're doing.
Yeah.
For some characters, that's the highlight of their wiki page.
Context, coconut trees. I understand.
It's like, I appeared in the background of this shot once.
Right.
It was me, Barry.
I am shot in the background.
It's just once. Like the Frostellus are just like that one scene from Monsters Inc. where it's Mike on the cover and he's just covered up by a sticker.
I was on TV. But anyway, so they're like, we need a Toa for this. This is they're a bit scary. So Kapura and Tamaru, they go to search for Takanuva at his home, but he's not there, and I put a sad face in my notes for that part. Because
a fun little detail was when they were running away, they were paddling away from the icebergs. One of them just screams out like, "Knock off its mask!"
Doesn't he have a mask?
Yeah. It's like that their entire concept of Rahi at this point is if they have a mask, knock it off and they will be incapacitated. They could not possibly be Angie if they aren't infected by the tuna.
Dragon Ball Z abridged.
That some Rahi are just bad-tempered.
Dragon Ball Z abridged. Kick him in the nuts. He doesn't have those things. Wait, no, that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged.
I also liked I liked that line. There was also a line where I think Kopeke is like, "Hey, is anyone here a biologist?" He's like, "Oh, Matoro was the biologist. Thanks a lot, Jowler. Great job."
Yes. He took a bunch of our most important people.
Despite having been warned that exactly this could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like he took like all the Nobel Prize winners or every public service worker.
It took all the A-list Matoran.
Even the useless member of the team was the only translator that could translate bird for one of the village elders.
You left.
Now Nuja will have to not be so stubborn and speak Matoran if he wants to be understood.
I like the kind of like elegant insults of Jowler taking Matoro, just like, "Oh, you want to keep secrets? You want to keep secrets? Okay, I guess you can't talk in your bird language anymore." Have fun keeping secrets now.
That's why he didn't want to tell this to Matoro. He didn't want to tell this to Matoro because Matoro probably wouldn't have come. But he was like, "Okay, I want to invite Matoro specifically. I want to pretend that I want Matoro for Matoro, but I do not know a thing that this guy can do. I don't think he will be an asset to the team at all. But
he can say,
if he is not back home in Metru Nui, it'll be harder for the Turaga to keep secrets from the rest of the Tauren. Strategically, it's a good idea."
It's a calculated move.
He's there, and he's also there to entertain the rest of the group because he can sing.
Jala in Metru Nui online game had that big D&D table with all the landmarks
in the war room. Table.
Yeah.
Why does my house suddenly smell like cat food? What is going on here?
This man thinks strategically. Oh, the longer and longer you listen to me talk, the more and more likely you are to get a stroke in your brain.
Anyway,
moving on.
Enough about strokes for now.
I wish.
Orcam comes by and he's like, "I found out Takanuva's in the archives." And he's wandering around. So Takanuva was wandering around the archives, and
he's looking at snakes.
I think he was looking at Rakshi first, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Rakshi are like snakes.
Well, I really can't judge him. You should get to hang out in the herpetarium. I want to enrichment.
Yeah, this is definitely after that guy told him about that stuff, and he was like, "Huh, I want
Guess
to
he
look
was
at.
right.
I want to go to the museum. I want to look at all the rock sheet. And wow, there really are 42 of them. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a lot of
I
them.
am not gonna go
maybe
crazy and blow up all.
Maybe I shouldn't have thrown that guy into a bottomless pit with Monaco.
I am not gonna go crazy
you
and
know,
blow up all of these.
hindsight
Although
is
no one
2020.
would notice because I am the only one here, and everything is already broken down here.
So,
And I do
I
find it
could
worth
totally go crazy and break everything if I wanted to, but I am the responsible adult here.
none of the Onumatoran from Onokura would have been like ready to do the archives. Like that archiving was not a job on Mana Nui. So got there and like, hey, by the way, you have a museum to look at. You have a
Yeah, I think that the closest
oh
thing
my
was
god, I
like
forgot my degree.
I think the closest thing
no.
was just the Taraga making a Krata collection, and that's about it.
Yeah,
That's
one
true.
of
They
the
just did
stories.
that for
One of the
Manuel's
stories.
enjoyment.
One of the stories
that was-
we read.
yeah, that was more
one
like
of the
putting a
stories
moose
we
head on
read
the wall.
recent. One of the stories we read recently had an Onumatoran just randomly unlock memories of wanting to archive Rahi. They
Yeah,
found
into the web.
It was Nuparu found a weird spider. It's like I want to archive this. What the heck does that mean?
I want to put it in a box.
I want to put it in a box and write things down. And get like
Actually,
get people
instinctive to all
lost.
Onumatoran is just put it in a box.
yes.
Anyways.
I like.
Yes, continuing.
Anyway. So
I got this. Kapura comes by and he's like, Takanuva, we need you, buddy. But in trying to do that, he gets trapped in a web of electric spiders. Oh my goodness gracious! They're coming at him. They're gonna shock him, maybe.
More things in quest for the Toa, Levi.
Oh boy! Get the sticky hands.
sticky hand.
That artwork went for the last episode went so hard.
So yes, Takanuva comes and frees him, and he's informed of the Frostellis attack. And so they're like, "Ah, man, I gotta get my staff from the archives. I don't have it with me." So he goes and gets it. I want to say real quick, mad reckless of Takanuva to do that. I'm like, buddy,
Just leave
you
his
can just put it on your back.
Yeah,
You got a
he
pin.
just like left it in another hallway somewhere. His primary only Toa tool.
It's just, I find that ironic because he's like the one set that has like dedicated weapon storage, like one Toa set.
Yeah.
Takanuva, he says that he'll go back and get it, but then the other Matoran that was coming to find him.
Taipu has it.
Taipu
Oh
has
shoot,
it.
you're right.
And then he gets attacked.
I don't remember that part.
I don't remember that either.
Oh, you made it up? Anyway, I'm just joking.
My
My
sources, I made it the
fuck up.
I said
The
I
version
made
of the
it the
story I
heck
made up
up.
in my head was really good. So
Joke's on you, the story I made up in my head sucked.
So
I'm sorry.
so they go back to where the Frostellis are, kind of being not nice. And now that Taraga are here, Duma's there, and he's just kind of like faffing about, being like, good work, everyone. So then
We knew about this the whole time.
So then Duma tells Takanuva about like just the situation, what's going on, and Takanuva's
we
just
knew
like,
about this the whole time, and we just didn't tell anyone.
yes, exactly. So
And we figured that we would just deal with it.
well, actually, we don't know that yet. We don't find that out yet.
Okay.
But yeah, so Takanuva is just like goodbye, which made me giggle because that's very much like a Manuk thing. And
Yeah.
Duma didn't know how to react. He's like,
Oh well, I didn't play that game. I don't know how to do
It's
that.
just the Takua just has like autism responses.
the abrupt
I
goodbye killed me.
said it before. I'll say it again. He is probably the autism coded character of the series.
The only?
Great.
I love talking
I think
over
that's
so
all
much.
of them.
I love talking over.
the entire plot of Monog is finding an autistic friend group. That's like that.
I love Takanuva. I love Taipu. I love Kapura. I love Bonkles.
Yeah.
Looks like the smudged writing on hand. Bonku.
I like Bonkles.
So,
I agree.
you know, so they start battling the Frostellus. A small little thing that happens is Hafu accidentally freezes Taipu. Was it Taipu that he freezes by accident?
I think
He
so.
freezes him with a freeze disc. Whoops, because he likes to throw it like a boomerang.
And Kapura everybody's like, okay, so when everybody, how do we use these frisbee launchers? And Kapura accidentally Vakama jetpacks himself into the sky, and then Tamaru, I think, is like, oh well, that's just a one-way trip to Dead Town.
Deadsville.
I also like the... I forget if it was in this story or a different offhand one, but there was a remark that was just like... imagine how primitive we must have been to need launchers to throw discs.
I like that. That's a nice little thing there.
Yeah.
It's not even primitive, it's pathetic.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, when they could throw discs by hand, their arms were more fragile.
True.
Well, not fragile, brittle.
All the more reason as to how pathetic they were as Metru Nui Matoran that they needed the launchers. Even with their stronger arms, they're like, no, I need gun. Anyway. So they're battling the Frost.
You heard it here, folks! If you need to use guns to kill people, you're pathetic.
All right. So, you know, they're battling the Frostellus, you know, action's happening. Then Norik, our boy from the Rahaga, comes by and he tells Takanuva, like,
hey, remember what you did? Remember when you used a laser pointer to beat the Monaco? Yeah, do that again.
Do it again.
Hey,
I love that it is literally, again, the answer comes down to a laser pointer.
Yeah.
It's Gonal's favorite tool.
It is.
Hey, when the one guy here, when the one superhero, his primary way to fight is by laser pointer, you gotta do it.
I'm surprised he didn't use that same technique to rush away the Skrull in Light on the Dunes.
It's like every Saturday morning cartoon where a superhero has a really weird superpower that got suffered just as conveniently. All the supervillains have even more weird powers that can just so happen to be countered by this one otherwise completely useless superpower that the superhero has.
I get that. It reminds me, actually, I watched The Matrix Resurrections recently, and all I could think of during watching that movie was, why is he just using force push and literally nothing else through this whole movie?
Yes,
and why is it so effective?
Yes, exactly. Bionicle is just like the Matrix. Everyone is
the same
trans.
tactic as in the Lego
Everyone is
Ninjago movie.
trans. Everyone is trans. Everyone is trans. Everyone is trans.
All right.
Hey, is everyone trans?
And
Everyone is
autistic.
trans.
Oh, okay.
Everyone's trans and autistic.
All right.
Moving right along.
Yes.
Moving right along.
So before he uses the lasers, he absorbs the light to blind the Frostellus because they need that. They need that to see.
He doesn't just absorb the light. He absorbs the light in the entire city from the sound of it. And then just focuses it into a tiny little laser pointer outside the edge of a spotlight on the... Like, he shines a spotlight on the icebergs.
That is exactly
and then
what
just
Norik
the rest
told
of
him
it
to do.
is just like a little laser pointer off on the Great Barrier.
That's exactly what Norik told him to do.
Exactly. And then the laser pointer attracts the protocarons, which are the sort of
the other combiner from the Hordika.
yes, and they're the main sort of rival of the Frostellus. They have beef with each other. You You know, because that's how animals be sometimes.
They're yummy.
So they battle the Frostilus, and they just kind of they deal with that. The problem is solved.
I think it's Kotu or Kai, one of the two, just like goes out on the back of a razor whale and just nudges the iceberg a little bit, so it just floats off into the distance, never to be seen again.
Oh yes, that's true. Then Maku finds out the Rahaga knew the Frostellis were coming in advance and didn't tell the Matoran, which the Turaga would have known about as well, because the Rahaga are like, kind of like the furry Turaga.
Well, people would just be so much better if they were furries.
So, what happens? Hold on, my brain is... Oh yeah, so Duma calls for a celebration, and then we party. Onupu and Kotu flirt with each other, and it's very wholesome. I like it.
I especially like the one part where Matau starts teaching Turaga Duma the Great Takara.
Yeah.
Because Duma doesn't know how to dance because he hasn't. I guess they didn't dance on Metru Nui, and he and even if they did, he definitely hasn't in thousands
wasn't
of
involved.
years.
So
he definitely hasn't.
Takanuva then confronts Vakama about the Turaga keeping secrets from the Matoran, which these are like, I've had enough of this. Something's got to give.
The entire time that those were there, and you didn't tell anyone.
So Vakama decides from now on the Turaga will be honest, and just keep the Matoran in the loop. Decides again.
Yes, you're right, Takanuva. That was our bad. No more. We're not doing it again.
Let's see if they can go for a third time.
We can make it happen.
I do love how both Rahaga Norik and Duma are just blissfully unaware. Like they're like I just imagine the Turaga in the corner like, hey, cut it out. We didn't tell them this yet. Don't. Like they're just very unaware that the Turaga have been keeping secrets whatsoever, and so as soon as they get asked a question, they're very forthcoming with it. Of course.
Yeah. And there's also the point earlier on where Duma's just like kind of wandering around, just sitting on the sidelines, and he just mentions, I think it's to Takanuva, it's like, well, they don't listen when I give them orders.
Yeah, because we don't know you, buddy. You're a stranger to us. We don't remember you.
Yeah, Duma's like
and they didn't hear good things about him.
Yeah.
Do they listen to the Rahaga when the Rahaga tell them stuff? And if so, is it because they're furries and furries are inherently cool?
No, they're our friends.
So yes?
Would they get
they did
scared
hear
because
cool
they
things
look like
about the
rock sheep?
Rahaga in the stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like furries. Furries are cool.
Well, they even allocated time to talk about them as Toa, too. So, like, they're like, whoa.
Exactly.
I like
they're
furries.
rad.
Furries.
Yeah.
I like furries. Furries are cool.
Yes, so...
I like bananas.
So now,
bananas are good.
enough. So Vakama, after Vakama is like, all right, we're gonna actually keep everyone in the loop this time. That basically gives Takanuva permission to tell the Chronicler's Company what happened to Jala, like be fully like candid about it. So he goes to tell them.
I want to know what Duma's reaction would have been. I want to know what Duma's reaction was to finding out for the first time that Vakama's team didn't even tell the Matoran that there were more than 6 elements. You've been keeping that many secrets from them.
That's at least 42 secrets.
Most of my team was Toa that were elements that the Matoran would not have known about. Well,
They wouldn't have even known what his mask was.
When do we even get the first secondary elements? Like, I'm trying to think
I think the first one was. I think this was almost entirely communicated, like fan facing, right? So I think the first secondary was Krakua, right?
Wait, no, hold on. Oh, yeah, in Time Trap, there's the bit with Lariska, and she's talking about a Toa Gravity she fought.
Gravity, that's right. Gravity comes up.
Gravity.
That's the first time.
There's also just the Boat Rock Cal.
Right, exactly.
Fair, but
Yeah,
Isn't there
but the first
we didn't think
time
of
it's
those as
mentioned
Toa
as like
elements until like 2005.
Yeah.
exactly.
Wasn't that a thing in the Chronic Hal story where he's like, yeah, the Chronic Hal's powers, those are elements too, except vacuum. Except vacuum. That one doesn't count.
Yeah.
Does it?
That one's in our heads. Anyway,
we were reading a story earlier where I think it was Anna was the Stone Traga. He was carving a statue of a Toa, and I don't remember which Toa it was supposed to be. He said he was fulfilling a promise to an old friend.
It was purposely vague to be any of the Haga.
The point is, it was specifically mentioned. He was like, crap, what mask do I give this guy? What mask do I give this guy? Why do we keep so many secrets from the babies? I don't know what mask I'm allowed to give this guy.
Oh yeah, because he wouldn't have been able to give them a mask, give the statue a mask, and not have to explain like, this is the mask of I just made it up. I made it the fuck up.
Would he have even known?
Oh heck! Should I even be making?
I don't even know if the Rahaga went into what their masks were and what they looked like.
And their masks are canonically not the actual designs of those powers for those masks. They were redesigned to resemble those of previous heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh heck! Should I even be making a sculpture of a Toa right now? The babies aren't allowed to know that there are other Toa.
Maybe they should leave it up to an art contest of the Matoran and have them determine what the Toa ought to look like.
You stop that.
We're getting out of hand here. I'm almost done with the summary.
Indeed.
So good.
So after the Chronicler's company learned what happened to Jala and the Toa Nuva, they have a laugh about things afterwards. Not about that in particular, but about other things.
Jala's probably dead.
Yo, I love being dead. It's my favorite.
So then Kopek is made the new chronicler by Vakama, and he's like, "Oh wow,
I love
that's pretty cool."
His first response to this is just ellipses.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, he's the new guy. He's got to be big.
Yeah. And Vakama goes, "Whoa, how did you say that?"
Yeah, Vakama's first response was like, well, his internal monologue was like, "Did I make the wrong choice here?"
But Kopek had a little spring in his step, so he was pretty happy.
Wait, I need to respond to this.
He's a good listener. So then Vakama gives Takanuva a pep talk, and then the Toa Nuva secretly arrive back in Metru Nui. I'm getting tongue-tied. Goodness me.
And now they arrived back in Metru Nui just in time to discover paper.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, what is this? It's flimsy.
It's wiggly.
It bends.
It wiggles.
So anyway, what's our thoughts on the heart of Metru Nui?
The trout, I think.
I like that at one point Three Finger Island was specifically mentioned. That was funny. As well as Lee the Surfer.
Is that where Jala is?
I liked seeing the various different factions come together, like the Chronicler's Company and the Great Disc Matoran and the Rahaga. I'm talking about, we canonically we hear that they all live together, but we never really get the sense of that in the stories. So it's funny to see them like actually interacting and be like, oh, like worlds colliding.
Yeah.
Even though they were, all on the same island during that time. Must have been a really weird.
Well, there was also the fact that, like, during... I don't know how long this went on for exactly, but specifically during the Rahi Wars, we established in... once again, I've lost count of what episode it was. It was the Quest for the Toa episode. But,
Just be like me and don't bother.
During the Rahi Wars, it was specifically established that outside of purely business purposes, travel between villages was absolutely illegal. So there was no cross-culture pollination during that time.
That's partly why, like, Takua was such an outlier in that case.
Yeah.
He's
Such a weird wiggly boy.
Yeah. No, I really like this story. I was it's nice to catch up with Takanuva and the Matoran, and like that's one thing I like what Myths and Legacy does too, is that it's like we get to the Voyanui, and anyone else who's not on Voyanui or Amari Nui, we're not really focusing on them anymore. So it's nice to see what are they up to, and there's a nice little progression. Yeah,
I quite like there's a couple of aspects actually that I like of this. One, the relationships between the characters is well fleshed out in this. It really, from the interactions, you can tell that these Matoran know each other well. They can make decisions based on not decisions, they can make assumptions based on the personalities of other Matoran. And you get things like Takanuva being referred to as Takua still, because they're just not quite past how they've seen him for so long.
And Taipu also referring to him as Takua Nuva at some point.
Keep up the spirit.
Yeah.
Another thing I really like of this is Takanuva taking the role at the end. Obviously, he's the Torah, and it sort of brings a metaphorical aspect to that of he's bringing things to light as well. He's bringing truth to the Matoran. He fights for the Matoran's right to know. I just like the tying of the Mask of Light and the light powers to truth, with Makuta being obviously the Mask of Darkness, and he's schemy, he's all lies.
Schemy lie boy. Schemy, deceit, lie boy. Lies,
I think we'll see a lot more of that kind of thing in later stories of Visions of the Great Beings.
Stinky.
Very interesting. I really liked this one. This one,
I like it.
Very well written.
Yeah.
Good times. I wonder who wrote it.
I believe this one was Jeff Douglas, was it not?
Indeed it was.
There's like about a 77% chance of that on Myths and Legacy.
All right. Is that one?
Jeff, I would love to get him on the show, but apparently he's just very mysterious and keeps to himself most of the time. I don't think I've ever even met him.
I don't think anyone's ever met him. He lives alone atop the tallest mountain. No one has ever climbed.
Is he the
on a Zoom
Grinch?
call with him.
Oh, okay.
He's made appearances. He does exist in the flesh.
Okay,
or perhaps just in a digital image.
Obviously, one person has climbed that mountain to install internet.
Thank you, Nicrophora, for doing that. We appreciate it.
Yes, it was an arduous journey.
So talented.
Thank you.
So, what is next on the docket for tonight?
Bionicles.
No way. I love Bionicles.
So now we're gonna switch things around a little bit. Next on our list, we're gonna try and save Invasion for last because it's so long. And
that was the book one, right?
Yeah. And if we run out of time, then we can at least dedicate a whole episode to that, because none of the guests wrote that one, right? So it's we want to cover the ones the guests did.
We wouldn't be doing it tomorrow, would we? Because
we just push it off until the next recording date, and then the rest of the schedule would be offset by one episode.
Cool. Yeah. I'm a wiggly little guy.
So the next one on our list that I'm choosing is the Annals of Icarax.
Lovely.
Did I say that right? English was not the first language I learned.
Annals is the correct pronunciation, but for comedic purposes, it's not the one that I would choose. It is not the one that I would choose for comedic purposes.
Well, it's a good thing I'm not trying to be funny.
No humor allowed on this show.
No, not for me at least. If it is, it's going to be short quips. So, story starts with Icarax, one of the most rad-looking Makuta sets, retrieving the Krakon from Mangaya, which, we know he does that So he does that.
He loves doing that. It's his favorite thing to
I predict
do.
that's going to be a lot of the summary. We know he does that, so he does that.
He did that thing. He did that thing.
Yeah, that's the whole story. Icarax,
much.
Icarax thought a thing, and then he did the thing, and it was good.
And you've already
And he
heard
thought
about the
it
thing.
Well, for naming my MS Paint art on computer, you need to give them a name, and so I have. Ringo Starr art.
So yes, unfortunately Takanuva is there, and he's like, not today, buddy. And he escapes.
Now I'm just imagining Icarax as Ringo Starr. I will usurp Pterodax with peace and love.
It's just about the opposite of Icarax.
Yeah.
It would have to be
To be honest.
Ringo-ax or something. We didn't,
Well, okay,
that Makuta didn't get very far.
You know what? It could be. There was a Doctor Who episode that just came out that had like the Beatles in an alternate timeline where they.
I heard about that.
The actors don't look anything like the Beatles, and that's part of. A lot of people say that that's part of the point, because it's an alternate history.
So in this
where everything
alternate
is
universe, in this alternate universe, were the Beatles actually hot?
wrong. Kinda.
We're getting
Okay,
we're
that's
getting
kind
off
of
topic.
It's like recasting Lawrence Fishburne and Hugo Weaving in the Matrix Resurrections.
The point is, the Beatles in this alternate universe are terrible at music, and Ringo Starr is Icarax, the Makuta of Karzani? Yeah.
So
that
how
one.
is that
Doctor
in
Who
the
really
smart
went in some
universe?
strange directions since I
Yeah.
saw Logic.
All right,
Anyway.
well that's the thumbnail. It's just going to be Abbey Road, but Ringo is replaced with Makuta Icarax.
Can we do like Pterodax, Bizarix, Icarax, and Neutran? Yeah.
That'd be
And
good.
this will be the second time I've done a parody cover of Abbey Road in the last 3 months for some reason.
The Virgin
If
Paul
I
is
had
dead
if I had a
theory that-
nickel for every time that happened, I'd have 2 nickels. It's weird that it happened twice.
The Virgin
All right.
Paul is dead theory, the Chad Ringo is Icarax theory.
Well, we know
Anyways.
Icarax is dead.
Yes, so he escapes Mangaya before Takanuva could fight him. And then he's like, all right, it's time to look for the staff of Artaka. So he finds out it's on Zaya, and he goes there. Because he's also conveniently has an errand to run by checking in on a weapons shipment that some mysterious person ordered. So, he investigates the shipment, and then he
He
sets
just
up...
he just shapeshifts into a dog for a little bit and stalks this poor trader's office until the guy shows up.
Well, that's way later.
furry?
Hold on, hold
And
your
it's a-
horses there, buddy.
it's a Rudaka, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
Daka does not appear here. As
Hey,
as-
Rudaka.
It's her species. Her species.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
He sets off to find the staff of Artaka, and he finds it in a Vortex weaponsmith's storeroom thing. So he's about to pick it up, and then Onua comes in, busts through the wall, and Icarax yells at him. And Onua's like, ouch.
Oof, ouchie, my bones.
I have bones. Haha! Joke's on you! No, I don't!
So, so with the staff of Artaka in hand, he's called away to Destro. And then he's like, all right, his new errand is to go check on Karzani, which is the place he's supposed to be managing, but he just doesn't give a crap about.
It does such a good job managing itself that he doesn't.
Yeah, he's like, it'll manage itself. I don't need to do anything.
Well, everyone's turned to stone.
Ever since the rogue deity of Karzani has decided to become a fishman, the Matoran there are like, hey, let's not be enslaved anymore because our slaver is literally not here. He's a fish now.
Let's pretend we are, just in case he's not a fish.
As soon as Icarax is just fine with that, And it's been a while. It's been a while, and he's still not back yet. So they're like, okay, maybe this is real now. Maybe we can just breathe. And Icarax is like, no, baby's not breathing on my watch.
Oh,
that was a good noise.
That's Matoran breathing.
Get out of here. So in Karzani, he's like, oh, the Toanuva are arriving. It's time for me to fight them. So they're all fighting, and Gali does her little Nova Blast, and he's like, damn, that was metal as hell. And then he leaves. He's like, I don't want to get wet today. So he teleports to Metru Nui, and he's like, what the hell is this? What is this? I am wet now. I don't like it.
Why is my armor melting?
I am more wet than anyone has ever been, and also I am melting. Yes.
So then, so he delivers the staff to Pterodax during the events of Into the Darkness.
Who is then conveniently attacked by a fishman.
Maxilos body.
Who is then conveniently attacked by a fishman.
Yes.
Do you think Icarax looked at the fishman and was like, "Hey, wait a minute.
Yes.
Are you the?"
No, he does. He's like, "Oh, yes, that's where he went." Which
in the story, he sees what is clearly Karzani mutated into a weird fishman about to attack Pterodax just before he teleports away.
Yeah, he specifically comments on his chains, and he's like, "Oh, that's where the ass went."
As he's teleporting away, he sees the least likely thing imaginable. Karzani, the guy who's supposed to be where he just was, is here about to attack his boss.
He's like,
he's accounted for them. He's done his job enough.
Icarax is having a really weird couple of weeks.
It makes perfect sense to us, but if you're Icarax in this situation, okay, he doesn't even think about how little sense this makes. He's just like, neat.
That solves a lot of my problems. See ya.
That solves a lot of my
meme of
problems.
the people passing each other in the cars is Icarax and Karzani are just like, huh?
Yep, that solves a lot of my problems. No, I'm not gonna worry about how little sense that makes, how small that makes the universe feel, how just utterly mathematically improbable it is from my perspective. Okay.
So he heads back to Zaya, and he goes to that vortex dealer who was gonna do that shipment to that mysterious person. Shapeshifts into a little animal thing, a little rocky, to be inconspicuous.
I want to be a vortex's pet. Hold on.
Enough of this.
It's all that was going through Icarax's head.
So yes, so he witnesses our boy Trinuba, another combiner from 2008, the brittle one.
The one.
a brittle one, yes.
But he doesn't have any lime green in him. How brittle could he be?
He's still pretty brittle.
I'm going to do my one tangent of the episode, and I want to say, I must have been lucky, because I never had any lime green pieces from 2007 that ever broke. Only now. Only a couple years ago did that start happening for me.
I bought Alec when he was new, and within a month, all of his joints literally shattered like broken glass.
Yeah, I got Alec in 2007, and he only started breaking down last year for me.
Yeah.
Oh, you just have to understand that Alec is actually Glass Legs Alec, and every night he goes home and breaks all of his bones. And just screams the whole night. This is why he hates the word so much.
Also, fun
I was
fact,
never aware of the lime joints being that was I wasn't aware that was a thing until way after it happened, because it just never happened to me. But
also, fun fact. Apparently, Trinuma, I believe, was one of, if not the first commissioned art pieces for Bionicle Day.
Oh yeah,
nice.
That was sick.
Yeah.
Looks cool. He does look cool.
Yeah.
I like how he looks.
I like him being in the 2008 comic style too.
Yeah.
There is a Lego YouTuber he is an older gentleman, he has been collecting Lego since a very
The time before time?
so I'm just gonna say his name and hopefully someone recognizes him. Brickzar?
Doesn't ring a bell to me.
Sounds familiar.
Okay, okay, so
Might be getting him confused with Maxor though.
Yeah, he's not a Bionicle guy. He is a classic Lego guy. And he apparently most of his collection, he has problems with the blue pieces actually. And not Technic pieces. Like the actual basic Lego pieces. Apparently, blue pieces from 60 years ago do not hold up anymore. It's fascinating what colors of plastic are poopy buttholes.
That's
when you
chemistry
think about
for
this,
you.
that was very clever of Baraki Illick to not include any blue system Lego bricks.
And Transformers will know this as gold plastic syndrome. Transformers toys have a tendency to if it's got gold plastic in it, it's gonna fuck.
It's a bit more complicated than that. It's more nuanced than that.
I need to get me some gold plastic.
It's not entirely true. It's only from like a certain few years in that case.
Look what you've done. You've touched on Max's fixation. Now we're never going to hear the end of Transformers.
I have many fixations. This is one of them. but it's a bit exaggerated. But anyway.
It all depends on how much of the oil you put into your plastic.
Yeah, but I got a job to do, so I'm gonna do it.
Oh really? What is the job?
Summarizing this.
Oh shit! I'm so
Trinuma
sorry.
is picking up the weapon shipment from the vortex, and then Icarax is like, his mind is shielded to me. That's not good. That's weird.
I don't like that he has privacy.
Yeah. It's just like, this is...
Should submit to the
No
surveillance
locked
state.
doors in my house.
All the Order Nui members have a VPN.
It looks like you're using an ad blocker.
This episode of Gathered Friends is sponsored by NordVPN.
NordVPN.
That's actually such a good like analogy. That's actually so good.
My VPN of choice is Surfshark because I like sharks because furries. I like furries.
I think I probably could have guessed that one.
I like furries.
That was kind of a low hanging fruit.
I like trains.
Yes.
I like furries. Anyway, and speaking of furries, Bionicles.
Yeah,
That's a pretty logical transition, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
because he just becomes a dog here.
And speaking of transition, Bionicles.
He becomes a dog. And he hangs out with a vortex.
So he follows Trinuma, and he witnesses him, like Trinuma delivering the weapons to our boy Botar. Good old monster face.
Boatface. I love that guy.
Unfortunately, Icarax is caught by
Bodie
them.
McBoatface?
Yeah, Bodie McBoatface. I hope he doesn't die this story. I love him.
Hold on. So Icarax is caught by them, and he's like, damn, my cover's been blown. And he attacks.
Not here.
Icarax is transported to a remote island by Botar. It's teleportation, and he's like, damn it. So,
Hey, Botar, you ever heard of someone called Nuvok Cal?
And then he crushes him with gravity, and it hurts. It hurty, you know. His leg hurty a little bit.
Interestingly,
Apparently his Kanohi got crushed. I didn't even know he had one. I was like, that's news to me, buddy.
Botar's set doesn't have a Kanohi because he has big-ass fangs instead of a Kanohi. But I guess canonically he is wearing a mask.
Yeah, we
Unless
know that
that's a mistake.
But
It's
but I don't
probably a
think he needs
mistake.
to constantly.
It's probably
He can
a
wear one,
mistake.
but I don't know if he does, though. That's the
He
thing.
has
There's a
to
difference.
show off those pearly whites.
Yeah, there's a difference between being able to do something and doing it.
He forgot to brush his teeth today, so he put on a mask.
That's true. His teeth are yellow as hell.
He took the Mask of Shadows at the start of the story, didn't he?
No,
that's
That was Icarax. That was Icarax.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I thought my attention span was bad today. Wow. Thank you, Levi, for making me feel better about
this podcast is 50% ADHD at this point. It's wonderful.
Wow, you can count to 50? I'm
Other
so
50%
proud of
autism.
you. I'm so proud of.
That's the biological fandom right there.
I'm so proud of this fandom. Anyway, moving right along.
Yes, moving on. He kills him. He absolutely murks Botar. He's dead now.
He's dead!
And this will definitely cause no problems for Greg's habit of teleporting characters around.
Everyone's favorite
we just need
character,
another
Foxy
one.
the Pirate, is dead. Everyone's favorite character, Foxy the Pirate, is dead.
Oh my god. I love how I know we've gone over this before. We had to have, but like I love that Botar is just he's killed off. And then Greg realizes, wait, I still need him. Okay, here's another person that's fundamentally the exact same thing as Botar, and he's just named Botar's replacement. Yeah.
Does it not also happen in the same story? If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure his death is first mentioned in Destiny War, and then
I think it's the first half. I think he's mentioned his dead in Federation of Fear, which is the first half of 2008, and then the replacement shows up in Destiny War, which is the second half. So it literally was like
that's right.
a period of maybe like 2-3 months.
Hi,
when
I'm
you realize,
Botar too.
Oh no!
I know. It's weird because I have a weird memory of like remembering a scene where he actually got killed. Was that ever actually depicted, or is this the first time?
No, it wasn't.
No,
I think we all just
it was...
imagined it very vividly as children.
Yeah, but
now here you go.
It was mentioned somewhere how he died, right? Like who?
Yeah,
in
Federation of Fear, they said he was slain by his magnetic power, and we were all like, "Ooh, it sounds grisly." Assuming that you were a child in 2008 reading the serials.
I was.
There's also a lot of like mental cross-pollination when you're reading stories like this, because there are some times where I thought, I remember this canon event, and then I look it up, and it's like, oh wait, that was a Myths and Legacy story.
When I was young, I imagined everyone I know and love dying all the time.
Well, the plot is almost done. Thank you for asking.
The plot is Icarax has delusions of grandeur and thinks, I'm going to write a diary, and everyone's going to be happy about it.
I don't like Icarax's approach.
So back in Destral, Icarax plans to take Pterodax's throne. And he's like, it's a nice chair. It looks like my face right now.
You can look, Icarax, but don't touch.
Pterodax is not actually here, and Icarax himself is the one who decides, I am not going to sit in this chair until I am done with all the bullshit.
And then in 2008, he's seen sitting in that chair. So.
He must have finished all the bullshit.
He goes to Metru Nui. He's planning to go to Metru Nui and let loose some shadow leeches, and that's the end of that. Thoughts, everyone?
I don't have any thoughts ever. You know that.
I think this was. I did enjoy this. Don't get me wrong; it was very good. But I think this was the first time where I've had absolutely no notes for a story that I've read for the show.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's very straightforward.
Icarax, isn't it?
Yeah. The story is kind of
all of my thoughts are about that vortex and the scene where Icarax turns into her dog. Okay, and I'm not allowed to talk about those.
My thoughts on the vortex is that Icarax has a moment where he fails to drink his Respect Women juice, and he's like, "Oh, it was super easy to beat up the women." And it's like, wait a minute. But if you look in the canon text, like Rudaka fights Kraka, and she turns into a tunneler, a giant worm that fit like 3-toe and a Tarog in its mouth, and like burrows its way through like eating sand and rock, giant thing. And Rudaka reaches into the ground and grabs this tunneler and rips it out, displaying this like superhuman strength. That is just absolutely insane to me. And it's like recorded in like various places. And so like now I'm just wondering, like, was that just her? Is she just like really good at this? Or like the vortex, what is the vortex's base strength like?
Well, I think
if there's weak as Icarax is saying, then like
she was like
But I feel like everyone's weak to him because he's like a Makuta, right? So it's like it's a matter of perspective. It's not because they're Vortex, it's because they're not Makuta.
Well, was it also not a male Vortex in this shop specifically as well? Because I think Icarax specifically mentioned, like, the males of this species are spineless and weak.
No, he mentioned the males, but it was a female shopkeeper.
Okay.
But he was talking about how the females were better than the males on this place.
Yeah, my thoughts on this story was that this was all information that literally there's no new information in this. If you've read the 2007 and 2008 serials, the only element that might be new is like telling it from Icarax's perspective, but this portrayal of Icarax is not. It's pretty one note to me. Like I feel like Icarax is presented in canon and in a lot of fanon as like this very straightforward, like he and Pterodax are like the brains versus brawn duo, and people don't really give him a lot more complexity than that. Right. So
he's a simple guy.
Great, yeah, Icarax did all these things. Great.
Some people be simple, you know.
Mm-hmm. He sure did those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this
not everyone has big old complicated motivations. Some people are just like, I like to fight.
What if Shadow the Hedgehog wrote a diary?
Yeah, this kind of feels like the other diary story of 2007, the Teonua blog. I think it's meant to be like a companion to it, I guess, because like they're running concurrently. Like
clearly, Icarax and Gali should have been on the same like blogging platform and just like reading each other's posts.
I understand everything now.
Icarax just composes a diss track against Gali.
I understand.
Enough. No more writing angry poetry at each other.
For anyone who happens to be listening to this in the future, when Drake is dead and this is no longer relevant, so there's two rappers, one of whom is clearly better than the other, are having a bit of a tussle.
I think in the future this will already be like well recorded ancient history. I think this will be the first thing taught in a history class, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We'll be writing this on walls for generations.
Okay.
Yes.
Random aside, but it's like kind of related. But like I was talking in the Licoro band server earlier with some of the people working on Ida's Journey Act 2 Disc 2. And one of the people who wanted to do a metal song just dropped like one of like we talk about a lot of weird shit on this show and on recording days, but I had not expected to hear the phrase "Among Us Slam Band" on one of these days, and I was definitely not disappointed by what I saw.
No, that makes sense.
The unmade horror is entirely within my comprehension.
Yeah, so anyway, Kendrick Lamar forever.
Wait, so which one is Icarax Kendrick? Is Drake Kendrick?
Yes.
Is Drake Kendrick?
Drake is the one who loses. Drake is the one who loses.
I guess that makes him Icarax in this case.
Well,
yes.
I'd say Gali lost the fight. I mean, he got away with the staff.
Can't believe we're talking about the Drake Kendrick beef on this Bionicle podcast.
When it's even reached the Bionicle fandom, you know it's really a nuclear scale.
Kendrick Lamar is the better one.
Oh. Does anyone else have any thoughts? It is a pretty straightforward story.
Oh, yeah. I have no thoughts. Head empty.
All right.
I agree.
Vortex. Puppy.
Yes.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
To just be a puppy for Vortex.
I think there are better stories you could find for Vortex puppy incidents.
No.
Bad. Where are those stories so I can avoid them?
All right.
Do you want me to send them to you so that you can
we can discuss it. We can discuss it after the podcast. We got more stories to get through.
Indeed.
Yeah, for some reason, Liam, that you guys accidentally scheduled like us to read like a majority of the stuff in the world all in one go.
Blame Gonal for that. He was responsible for initial scheduling.
No, I'm going to blame you. I'm always going to blame you because that's the deal. That's the deal.
All right, let's move on. So
I mean, yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for listening to the host. Thumbs up.
Good. What are thumbs?
All right. So next story that we're going to cover is a short one. It's called Out of Their Elements. So I think it's the first one we're covering that is written by you, Nicrophorus. Nicrophorus. You said Nicrophorus when you introduced yourself, but the whole time I've been reading the name as Nicrophorus.
Same.
Is that
it's pronunciation optional.
Okay, I'm gonna continue saying it the way I was
That
saying
username only exists in text. It's not something I'm attached to.
I like this one because he plays with the little crab.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
All right.
directly feeds it a squid, which I'm like, is that slightly against the Toa code?
Nah, that's nature.
But doesn't
You gotta
apply
eat
to
it.
Ragi, right?
They ate fish.
Plus, they kill squids all the time in the Mari year.
It's not a moral quandary to eat animals for food.
They use squids as ammo. They kill squids all the time.
Well, those
the
are
Toa
bad
guys do
guys.
that.
Yeah.
If there's a
The Toa use munitions-grade weaponry to cause massive destruction.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
morally a-okay.
Oh, yeah.
Literally
do what
called
you gotta
the
do.
Desolation Blaster.
Remember, kids, if you use guns to kill people, you're not pathetic.
Really getting conflicting messages here.
Yep.
All right. So Jala and Kongu are kind of like swimming after their encounter with Karapar and Kalma in the comics, and also the books, I guess.
I guess.
At that point, the books and the comics were telling the same story, just one was in more detail.
Which one?
The one, the one.
That one.
In 2007, the first issue with the Mari.
I don't
Yeah,
understand.
that one.
I don't understand.
I don't know what. I don't remember the number, which number
please
issue
tell me-
it was.
Oh no! Please tell me more. I'm enthralled. I'm enraptured.
Yeah, it's beyond the limits of my autism. Recall exact comic numbers.
Let's talk about the story we're talking about now.
My memory is just not that good. But
Let's talk about the one we're talking about now with the little crab.
So Kongu and Jala are going, and Kongu's a bit salty. He's a bit moody, and he's like, "So
They're at the bottom of the ocean. They're both very salty. They're covered in salt.
So he's like, you took the deal, that the deal being that hey, the Toa got a promise to kill Prydak."
Yeah,
So-
the
And
Baraki were
share
giving
the mask of life.
And share that too.
Yeah, the Baraki were giving all the Toa just Indian burns and noogies and wedgies and just like, no, you gotta kill Prydak and we'll stop bullying you. And then Jala's all like, okay, uncle, are you okay? Okay,
Sharing is caring,
okay, I'll stop. You're so mean. I'm just a silly little guy.
So yes, they keep going, and Jala's like, well, yeah, I didn't want to die. And Kongu is just generally being like, you could have just talked our way out of this, and of course Kongu is kind of wrong here. He's just in his feelings. And then Kongu goes on about the Toa code, trying to guilt trip Jala into being like, thinking he did the wrong thing. So, so I guess it looks like Kongu is just also then just salty that basically Jala had to lie. Either they have to do the thing they're not allowed to do or lie, and he's like, I don't like to lie. That's bad.
And he's like, do you like to lie or do you like to die? Because it was one or the other.
Jala, yes, Papa. Telling lies, no, Papa.
So Kongu is daddy? What?
What?
Jala is calling Kongu daddy now? Liam? No,
Actually,
Papa?
the secret ending cutscene to the story.
Anyway, so while Kongu is giving him shit for being a baby, Jala is just playing with a crab, and it's adorable.
It is.
And then Kongu just absolutely knocks him in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
Punch.
Yeah, he punches him in the face after Kongu's being like, you're some leader you're being. Everyone's doing their own thing.
Is this the first time somebody's just straight up thrown a punch in Bionicle?
Yes.
It doesn't happen often. It happened in that one story we did with Matao. Is just like push Nuju and broke his mask, and he's like,
wait a minute. No, the Turakawa. The Turakawa.
Well, I was going to say
don't
Kitongu
count.
killing Sidorak.
Rahi are not people.
Don't
No.
make me get PETA on your asses.
Yeah, well,
They
they're
are
wrong.
They are ruthless. They are
PETA,
very wrong.
the horse
they are
is
very
here.
wrong. They're
PETA.
wrong. They're wrong like 99.9% of the time.
Mhm.
Those guys.
Anyway.
No.
But
I was
let's
gonna
not
say
get into
Kitongu
that
just punched Sidorak
can of
before he
worms.
died.
Sorry, what'd you say?
The can of squids.
Yeah, squids.
Well, either
Kind of
way,
squids.
Peter's coming after you for keeping them in the can.
Oh no, and squids. All right.
The organization
crab-
PETA was founded by a dog catcher.
I see.
Cool.
How could Peter Griffin do
Anyway,
this?
so
This has been your trivia.
my groove has been thrown off. 1 second.
Oh,
Max is having a conniption here.
Max gotta get his groove back.
I'm getting tired. So yeah, they apologize to each other because they're like, we're kind of being shitty here. And the crabs, little Hana crab is circling Jala, being all cute.
I love this crab.
I like the crab
I
too.
love this crab.
Crabs
nice
in
little
Bionicle
thing.
are just universally great.
Yes.
Mhm.
Love this crab.
Mhm.
Crabs are friends.
Not food?
Where is this crab in the present? Is the crab okay?
If I recall,
it's actually
the crab
unclear.
was. If I recall, the crab
Abandoned?
was set free and then immigrated to Spherus Magna, like literally every other being that BSO1 lists, because Greg was like, if it breathes, it migrated.
Okay, as long as it didn't die, I'm happy.
Mm.
It did get left in the bottom of the ocean for a minute, but it can live
I am worried about that.
I mean,
Well, it was there
that's
to
where-
begin with.
Yeah, that's where it lived.
Yeah.
Someone's threatening to stop recording us.
Oh.
Well, when the planets got shoved together.
Wait, what happened?
No, someone else in the server is like, let's stop recording button is so dangerous.
Oh, Aurora,
So I
please.
said don't.
No.
Okay, so anyway, Liam, as the big boss, please make it canon that the crab is alive.
Liam's the big boss? That's crazy.
Liam, are you the big boss? I don't remember.
I would
Colonel,
say that
I
Liam
found
is a
the
medium
diaper
boss
chief.
at most.
Liam
All right.
is not Solid Snake. No.
That Liam's in
Alright.
charge, right?
Technically, Goddle and Bob are in charge, but
Yeah, but you're in charge of them, right?
no.
What?
I was kind of interpreting it as like their creative leads in your business side, I guess.
Hmm.
But also, I don't know anything, so
Missing Legacy was founded by Bob and Goddle, and I just jumped in when Vision of Great Being started.
I just need it written into whatever the equivalent of a production Bible is that we got going on right now. I need it written in the crab lived.
Anyway, so yes, I'm moving on. So the crab's being cute, and then Jala and Kongu discuss how like trust is a major factor in how their how the leadership works, you know, with their experiences on Metru Nui. And they just kind of like, you know, open up about that, could discuss it. There's not much action happens in the story. It's very much them discussing their feelings, you know?
Yeah. What do you mean not much action happens? A guy punched another guy?
Not much like events, not many events happen in this story is what I mean.
A guy punched another guy, a crab ate a squid.
It's them swimming towards Mari Nui talking about their feelings. That's what it is. Yeah. That's what happens, you know?
I love crabs.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, they discuss that, and, you know, they comment on the crab being cute, being like, oh, it's like Puku.
It's like Puku. It's like Puku.
And he helps the Hana crab get the little squid, and then they they follow. They get out of. What am I saying? Sorry. They get closer to Mari Nui, and then they continue. You know.
Yay.
And that's pretty much what happens. But, you know, let's discuss what they said to each other, that they're feeling. So that's more like a commentary, discussion sort of thing, rather than something I could put in a summary, you know?
I do like that there's more characterization for Kongu, because it's been discussed, I forget if it was on the show or in the Myth and Legacy server just by itself, but Kongu is not really Kongu anymore by the time of that point in the series. He's just two hands McGee.
Yeah, he gets no love or attention. He gets turned from this like stern leader into like a gloomy, wisecracking Spider-Man wannabe. I hate it. Can I say that on this podcast? I don't like that direction for the character.
Yes.
You can't say hate. That's too bad a word.
Good to know. But yeah, that was part of like some of my motivation in writing this, was like I just wanted to be like, can I find like a serious character somewhere in here? Does he have any brain cells left in there, or is it just like morbid jokes?
I love it. I love that you took the cookie jar, you shook it real hard, and you actually got some brain cells to fall out of there. And those are presumably the only brain cells that anyone will ever be able to get out of Kongu's brain.
Yeah, this is all we ever hear from him.
This is all
that Tarzan swinging it took a toll.
It's just Lamatoran and air elementals in general. They just hate water so much that being immersed in water makes Kongu into just
a cranky boy.
He's just a cranky boy. He's just a cranky boy. Whereas Jaller, whose element literally does not work underwater, as they meant the reason he's called out of their element is because the core of their discussions here is about how neither of them can really be useful right now. But especially Jaller, because his element doesn't work.
Mm. Meanwhile, Holly is just like, I am all powerful.
Holly's just off on a murderous rampage.
Yeah, Holly and Matoro's elements are way, way more powerful under the ocean. Whereas Jaller and Kongu would they barely. Kongu's situationally useful. I mean, he can replenish air bubbles probably. Right?
Probably.
And theoretically,
so he's the team healer now.
Theoretically, Huki and Nuparu are also slightly augmented underwater, albeit less so, just because having power over Earth underwater, it's going to be a lot easier to manipulate than it would be on land. Yeah. And the same
There's also less of it around.
Stoned. Yeah, that's true as well.
Jaller's basically he's got the crab because he has so little got going on with his fire. Is like, what's he gotta do in it? You know,
it seems like Jala's in pretty hot water right now.
So if he doesn't boil the crab.
This was part of why I ended up writing this with Jaller and Kongu. Do you want me to talk about some of the creative process here?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Brief.
Absolutely. Yeah, okay, that's the whole point of bringing you on the show. And also because your voice is pretty, but I guess we didn't know that going into it.
Yeah, that was icing on the cake.
I love cake.
Yeah, this was This was planned to be a much larger fic originally, actually. It kind of took a journey to turn into this. And it actually started off being a concept to like feature the models from that Prisoners of the Pit building challenge, you know, the ones that look like weird and ugly.
Oh yeah, the ones that were redesigned later on to be so much better.
Yeah, exactly, like most Bionicle models. I was always really interested in those as a kid, and I was eventually like, I should write a story about them. And so I decided to like feature them. You'll notice they didn't make it in. Because I also noticed that Jaller and Kongu, they kind of vanish from the timeline of 2007 for a bit. They like lose this fight to the Brockie and they just don't appear again for like a whole nother book until the Toa are all back together. And it's just unclear what they were up to. So I was originally planning for them to like adventure and like encounter these pit prisoners who were like a rival gang to the Brockie, etc. Unfortunately, those pit prisoners were just kind of born ultimately, and I didn't come up with something that like really made sense for them as villains. And maybe somebody could, but I ended up being more interested in the characterization of Jaller and Kongu because I think the reason they don't show up that much in the story is because they can't really use their powers. So Greg was like, I don't really know what to do with these characters, you know? What's my assumption? So I decided I wanted to really get into their heads. And that was when I, you know, as Liam mentioned, I think, that, you know, Kongu gets like a really raw deal in the Ignition arc where he just gets like character assassination completely. And here's my other grievance with Kongu is that like he's the only other one on the team who's been like a leader. And instead Jaller makes Huki the deputy instead of him. Which is just further evidence to me that Greg never played a Montanui online game. But that's beside the point. So I really wanted to try and see what Kongu's opinion on this was. Because at this point, like, Jaller's leadership is very, very hands-off. Everybody else is, like, just running around being rambunctious and downright insubordinate. And Holly's doing some pretty dark stuff during this story arc. Not to mention Matoro. So it ended up just sort of crystallizing into this one scene. And I was like, you know, I'm pretty much okay with that. That was kind of at the heart of what I wanted to include it in anyway.
Yeah,
fair enough. It works.
It reminds me a little bit of there was a discussion in the BSL1 server the other day where I'm not gonna like name names, but like someone tried to make the point that Myths and Legacy kind of generalized it then that it only exists to fill gaps in the story and is otherwise overly creatively limiting. And I think this story in particular, among some of the others that I referenced at the time, I hadn't read it when we were having this discussion, but it really stands to prove that even within the confines of canon, even if it's just a single personal scene like this, there are still very creative stories that you can tell. You don't have to completely liberate yourself from, you know, the intricacies of continuity and everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not mutually exclusive, filling in a gap and being creative.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes constraints kind of breed creativity, I think.
Yeah, well, I made that argument as well.
And they were like, no.
Yeah.
No, it very much feels like it's like a deleted scene, kind of. But, like, that's not...
Right.
That is a compliment in the highest order. It's like, it feels like it could have been, like, in the book. Well, if I didn't know what Greg's writing process was, it would have felt like it could be in the book. But it feels
it fits
very...
into the narrative.
Yeah, it fits in the narrative. Like, me personally, like, I've been at work for a while. Just like my personal collection is just fitting stuff into books and putting all the stories lying down alongside the Myths and Legacy ones. And this fits in really well because the surrounding story of where it goes is this very hectic, very like this giant war in the pit that's been going on for all of 2007. And it's a nice sort of breather. It's like, hey, sometimes you can just talk to a crab. And that's okay. But I like that they get this moment to talk, and also about, like, Kongu's kind of scared that Jaller... He doesn't actually think Jaller will break the Toa Code, but that concern is definitely brought up, because they are, like, they're not planning on doing it, but they're fighting war, and so, like, what exactly are we? Like, what's our place here? And I think that's done really well in this story.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I personally really like kind of more I like quieter in a sense, like quieter sort of scenes like this in general in stories. I think it's very important for like pacing to have, just people talking.
Yeah, because when you get, as I kind of brought up earlier, not everything needs to be like a world-ending threat. And when it comes to stories like that, you can't really have as many personal moments like this when the primary focus of the story is on this massive conflict currently going on that needs to be wrapped up.
That's on a time limit too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to just have a moment of respite and let the characters be characters rather than just a means to an end.
Yeah, and I mentioned this on an earlier episode, but like not everything needs to be like a long story. Some things work. Some really short things work really well, and they're just as good as like long, like epic stories.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked when the two visions were shooting lasers at each other, and then they were like, "Hey, wait a minute, boats!" And they were like, "Yeah, let's stop fighting and think about boats."
Indeed.
I don't know if you want to wait till we get to this, but I did think this story played really well with Invasion. Like a lot of the same sort of character threads starting in that story are kind of like still in the works here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're gonna have enough time to talk about a whole book.
We pretty much definitely don't actually.
Yeah, where I told Max earlier that if we weren't done with the other stories by the time we reached the 2-hour mark, we'd just put off Invasion, and we just reached the 2-hour mark at this moment of speaking. So
yeah, exactly.
And we've still got one more to do. So
right now,
yeah, and we've still got at least one more to do. So. Yeah, we're unfortunately going to have to do that next episode.
Yeah, and that's going to take like 30 minutes on average. Yeah. That's generally what it takes.
Oh, now you blame someone who's not me. I see how it is.
I think it's an okay oopsie because it's like the schedule was made before we had even recorded a single episode.
Yeah,
it's
so it's like we didn't even have any reference point for how long it takes to record an episode for like the stories we do.
Other than the fact that I am the most ADHD of all time.
And also, in fairness, we did have like 6 seasons and a movie.
Anyway, forget the last few minutes when I said Gonal's name. It's clearly Liam's fault.
Nope, you already said it. Can't take it back.
No, I'm retconning myself.
No takes and backsies.
Max,
okay,
what are we talking about? No. All
right, so next,
Max, what are we talking about next?
Is an even exchange.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Which one is that?
Voparak.
Yes. So, it's starting with the Makuta of Stealth. And he's...
the time guy! The time guy, right. Yeah, okay.
I imagine this Makuta as, like... I don't think he necessarily has the same personality, but I definitely think he has the same voice actor and mannerisms in my head as Entropy.
Who's that?
Crash Bandicoot.
Crash.
Oh, okay.
Cash Manuka.
Yes.
Anyway, so we start with the Makuta Stealth, and he's like, all right, I gotta confront this Dark Hunter named Gladiator who's on my island, who's,
This man is on my shit list.
Hey, so... because he's just a little bit disruptive, just like a little bit.
Hey, his name is Gladiator. What did he do? He's a gladiator.
Yeah, he doesn't have too much beef with his disruptiveness, but he's like, I need to learn about Voparak because that's so cool. I think he made it, right?
Well,
this is the guy.
Yeah, the idea was like Gladiator was he ran off and joined the Dark Hunters, and then he inconspicuously returned, and the Makuta's like, that's not right. He's clearly a spy.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a canon detail in the Dark Hunters guidebook that Gladiator just went back to the island on a mission.
I didn't know that.
Anyway,
the guidebook.
Anyway, yeah, so the reason we're reading about this Makuta is because this Makuta is the Makuta that made the Voparok, and he wants Dark Hunters to give him back his toy.
Yeah.
Pterodax didn't. For some reason, even though Pterodax wanted this guy to make the Voparok, and then he didn't want to actually, feed and water the thing, so he had it. He's like, send it to the Dark Hunters to train it. I guess. Yeah. It's the plan. It's part of the plan.
Well, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here anyway.
Yes, we are. So, so he goes to Gladiator and he kind of threatens him a little bit. And he's like, where is
a little bit. Is boot to the head. A little bit.
So the Makuta still kind of talks a little bit about the Vahi and, the legends surrounding it and how it's crucial to the plan and whatnot. And he's like, I want it. I'm the time guy.
It's my Vahi, and I need it now.
Yes.
I am the one who clocks.
Yes, I'm the one who keeps time.
This guy is such a pretentious idiot.
I love him so much, though.
I have so much to talk about.
He is the capitalist Makuta.
I have so much to talk about with this story, but I don't know if I can talk about it yet because we're not there yet.
We'll get to it. Yeah, don't worry.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, the moment he comes in to talk to Gladiator, he stomps on his fucking head and says, "Give me the guy.
Give it to me.
Give me the guy. Give me the guy.
Where is he?
Where's my boy?"
All right,
Okay.
so he goes to Metru Nui. He goes to where the Borok nests. And
I'm sorry. I have to. But the first thing that came to mind when the Makuta's just standing on Gladiator, the first thing he says to him is just, "What the dog doing?"
He's just
you guys are so silly.
Anyways, go on.
Yes. So, hold on a second. Sorry, my recording software was weird for a second. It threw me off. One second. I'm sure it's fine.
Lumpus.
Whoa!
I'm panicking.
Corruption upon you.
Oh yeah, so he goes to the Borok, where Borok nests where the Barog would be, or they are still, and they're in the cube place. The cube's in the room, and Voparok's there. He's like sniffing. He's like, it smells like time in here.
He acknowledges the cube. He's like, there's a cube there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Voparok's smelling around. He's like, it smells like time in here.
Yeah.
Some
Voparok's
unenlightened individual used the Vahi very poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the guy? He's like, he says that. And,
That's an apt way to describe Tahu.
And the guy, he's like, "Hey Vopey Dopey Doops, why are you sitting in here staring at the space time, at the rip in space time, instead of go get ye mask? Oh, were you ordered not to by that guy?"
Wow, that's pretty sad. You should come back and work for me again.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So he's like trying to convince Voparok to get the
Go get ye mask.
to get the mask, and Voparok's like, sounds pretty good.
Oh, and the guy, he's like, oh, if you come back to work for me, not only will I let you get the mask, which is the thing that you want right now, but I'll also undo your fixation on the mask so that you can enjoy other things.
Yeah, I'll fix your timeness, your time emanation.
Yeah. Voparok is like, and Voparok is very intrigued by that because
He just wants to be normal.
His autistic hyperfixation on the Vahi is so devastating in his life. He can't have relationships. He can't can't do anything. Like
will kill anything that gets close to him.
He can't go hit up that hot vortex. He's got to have his Vahi.
He can't do nothing.
He's got to stop aging things around him.
He wants to go do other things, but every time he thinks about doing something else, he thinks, but the Mask of Time, though, I want to go do that.
He thinks about doing other things, but he simply doesn't have time.
So Voparak is just me before I got the Mask of Time on eBay for like $30 last year.
So basically, this dude is like bribing him to get him on some ADHD meds.
Mm-hmm.
And Voparak's like,
they make the deal.
Oh, they make the deal.
Yes,
they specifically make the deal when the Makuta reaches out his hand for a handshake, knowing full well that it's basically just going to disintegrate the moment Voparak touches it.
but like he wants to. It's a show of faith or something. Just like,
and he can just make a new one.
This is what it. You can shake so many people's hands when I undo your shenanigans.
You can shake people's hands without killing them.
I will turn your thing off if you come back to work for Daddy. I will turn your stuff off.
Mm-hmm. And he's like,
here's my hand.
I've always wanted hands.
Here you go. Shake my hand. Shake my hand. Oh, good boy. Oh, wow, that's quite a grip you got there. That's a nice, firm handshake. Look at that. My arm's done. Good job. Good job. Daddy is so proud.
But yes,
this is entirely accurate.
Well, I'm going to go study all of time. I'm going to go study time. Just time. I'm going to just go study time. Because he's like, okay, in order to properly use the Mask of Time, you got to know time. You got to know time real good. You got to be real good at time. Ironically, he loses track of time while he's studying time, meaning he is not good at it. He is not doing a good job studying time.
Right. Yes. So continuing, so after the deal is done, the Makuta stealth is like kind of going through things that are happening during Destiny War and Federation of Fear and whatnot. Or not Destiny War, just Federation of Fear. I think.
Lumpus.
Is that right? Am I wrong? Am I misremembering? Am I silly?
No, it's
the Federation of Fear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big
Talks to the traitor.
Yes. He's talking about that and he's like, it's time to prepare. But then at the end he's like, what's that racket? What's that racket going on? I gotta investigate. And that's where it ends.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the main story ends. Then we get the postscript.
P.S.
Right, this story is weirdly set up because the perspective jumps around.
Yeah.
It's difficult to tell that all in the form of a diary because...
P.S. The Makuta of stealth immediately dies.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, post P.S. Miserecht fucked his shit up at the end.
Yeah, so Miserecht
comes... the Makuta of stealth died on the way to his own planet.
So Miserecht is like, where is my former subordinate? AKA Terry. And that's just general conflict about that. And we learn the Makuta of Stealth's name is Vidak.
There's a shopping list.
Yes. So we learn his name is Vidak, and then, Miserecht's kind of like forces the information out of him as to where Pterodax is, and he's like, he's underneath the Colosseum in the core processor. Except what?
And he's got this whole shopping list. He's got this whole shopping list.
What?
Got this whole shopping list.
What was the Tonuva who were doing the shopping list?
Liam refers to Makuta's plan as a shopping list.
No, I refer to the Makoki Stone as the shopping list.
That's true. That is the shopping list.
I thought the Makoki Stone was the plan.
No.
Well, there's so many shopping lists in this franchise.
There are so many shopping lists! Bionicles do be shopping! Oh my god!
Gamatorn be shopping. Anyway. Anyway.
And the Tomatoran and the Lamatoran.
All Matoran be shopping, to
and
be
the
honest.
women and the children too.
I hate shopping. It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere.
Anyways,
So Miserix remembers his manners and then he leaves.
and then he eats him. One thing that I specifically like about this story, I don't remember exactly where it was mentioned, otherwise I would have brought it up during the summary, but there was a specific point where Vidak mentions that while Terry was in the guise of Taragaduma, he talked to him asking about the Vahi. And that was very specifically a callback to Legends of Metru Nui, when Taragaduma is talking to Makuta's essence in the throne room of the Colosseum, just like he's asking, like, why is the Vahi not complete yet? And that scene always confused me, because by that point in continuity, Makuta was already disguised as Taragaduma, and Duma was just in a pod in the archives. So, for all intents and purposes, he was just talking to himself in that scene.
Yeah,
so I like how this
sense.
recontextualizes that as he's talking to this different Makuta.
Thank goodness, because that always bugged me as well. I was like...
I didn't even recognize that. Was that the Annals?
Sorry?
Yeah,
I didn't even recognize that when I was reading. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that scene always bothered me, so I couldn't resist sneaking that in there to like try and make it just a little bit more sense.
Wait,
Yeah.
you wrote
That's
this
like
too?
the only issue I have with that movie. Is just like, this just blatantly doesn't make sense within the movie itself, within a major plot point of the movie.
It's
At
just
the risk
bewildering.
of starting a side tangent, I do
You
wonder
wrote
if
this
at one...
too? You're my favorite.
Thank you.
What are you saying, Lust?
So at the risk of starting a side tangent, I have wondered before if they were originally going to do just Duma is evil and then quickly rewrote it. Like, I feel like that's... But I'm not sure if anything else supports that ever.
Maybe that's
just a
something
really
we
weird
should
scene.
ask them if they're on 810 this year.
Oh.
Yeah, what was the deal with this weird like mirror eyes scene?
Yeah.
Maybe they just forgot to change that bit. I don't know.
Yes.
Animated the entire thing and voiced it.
Iraqi
probably-
forgot.
You know,
That's probably
it'd
gonna
be
be
like
it.
that. You know.
So anyway, Stelty is dead. What's his name now? Videl?
Vidak was the name. I think Bob the Doctor came up with that one actually.
Yeah.
I'm
When
just
I originally
gonna
wrote
call
the
him.
story, he wasn't named.
It also helps explain when, at the end, when Voparak is like rummaging around in Vidak's things and can't find him, and he realizes like he's on his own now. It explains why he went to Metru Nui just seemingly out of nowhere during Reign of Shadows and just grabbed the Vahi.
Precisely. That was another thing that always bothered me. That was kind of a... mind if I monologue for a moment?
Yes, go ahead.
Absolutely.
I love you.
That was kind of all of these weird little, like, unexplainable moments in the canon. That was kind of my motivation for writing this. So I wrote the first version of it back in, like, 2014, like, over 10 years ago. It was originally posted to BZ Power. That's how old it is. And it was actually, like, the first thing I wrote after a brief hiatus from the fandom. But I came back to it, and this was kind of the first thing I wrote then with this new like frame of mind for like trying to write canon compliant stuff and work within those constraints. And the real reason that I wrote it was like being really frustrated with the BSO1 page for the Makuta of Stealth. So like he's basically the funniest non-existent character in the franchise. Right. So like the story is basically like in 2008. The fans all knew that Stealth had a Makuta, but it wasn't any of the named characters. So for some reason, this meant that like every time the Mutran Chronicles or the Dark Hunter Guidebook or something else mentioned something happening to a Makuta, just some unnamed, unspecified Makuta, somebody would end up asking Greg, like, hey, was that the Makuta of Stealth? There was this weird fascination with like attaching information to this mystery character. So the result is that his BSO1 page is just a collection of like random unrelated events without context, most of which is like him taking major L's. It's like his theme song could be "It's a Hard Knock Life." Like you look at his page and it's just like, oh, and he got this embarrassing thing that happened to him. And I'm like, oh, everybody thought he was cringe and an idiot at this point. And all that, and we don't even know what his personality is.
And that's coming from the same franchise that created Spiria, so that's saying something.
Yeah, so this guy is like almost as much of just a weird nerd. So I wanted to take like those random wiki citations and the other weird stuff in the story, like Pterodax seemingly talking to himself in Legends of Metru Nui, and Voparok like suddenly showing up to steal the Vahi and then never being seen again, and everyone just wondering like, hey, what was up with that? And so I just wanted to like stitch together those random factoids and make like an actual character out of them, and just figure out like, who is this guy who did all these weird unrelated things. And so two things jumped out to me. One, that he had made Voparok, and two, that he eventually, like the way that he died is he sold out Pterodax and got eaten by Miserix. Again, in the original story, he just says like a Makuta, but a fan was like, oh, was that the Makuta of Stealth? So, like, sure, okay, it was the Makuta of Stealth. He got eaten by Miserix. Great. Congratulations. And so I tried to put that into a narrative, and what emerged to me was basically just like, I guess he must have been after the Mask of Time. And that's another detail that like is really weird when you look at Voparok's biography, because the Brotherhood of Makuta made Voparok to find the Mask of Time for them. And then they just like gave him to the Dark Hunters for training and lost him to them because the Shattered One inspired more loyalty. And then in Time Trap, like Voparok actively helps prevent Pterodax from getting the Mask of Time. So, nice job, idiot. That was a great part of your plan there.
No, you see, it was
exactly.
No, but you see, it was my plan to be betrayed by my time dog.
Sometimes the only way to win is by losing. So Vidak must be losing his mind over Pterodax fumbling the bag, right? So I wound up writing the story about him like taking matters into his own hands. But the same way that like Pterodax is evidently not as smart as he thinks he is, Vidak is also not as smart as he thinks he is. I feel like that's kind of the Makuta tagline. So one thing I really liked about this story, especially when I reread it, is that like, did you catch that when he's talking about like random things happening while he's studying, that like one of them is the traitor saying like, I was robbed by Rudaka and some other people, please like send the police after them, and he doesn't believe him. And that same group is the one that then frees Miserix, who comes back and eats him at the end, which is very funny to me. And so that kind of became, like not to get overly pompous with this, but like in a story about the Mask of Time and like this guy's raw ambition, something that's funny to me is that like he's trying to make history, right, and take control of history. And in the meantime, he manages to completely like miss the little details that end up unexpectedly creating history, right? And he gets a raw deal out of this and winds up as like a footnote on a footnote in the grand scheme of things. He wanted to be like the top dog, but instead he's just thoroughly unimportant. And that was really fun to me. And that has kind of been the guiding ethos for a lot of the story concepts that I've had ever since for Bionicle, of like exploring sort of like these weird like tertiary background characters of the background characters who like, what was their deal? Like they probably had their whole story going on and their whole like history, but they just didn't end up on the main stage.
Having already read through Reign of Shadows: The Untold Stories, I can definitely see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, spoilers. Mm-hmm.
Which unfortunately won't be for like another month now, because we don't have time to get through Invasion today, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I'm very excited for that episode,
Yeah.
I like it.
I like you calling Voparok the time dog, because that's so real. It really is what he is. I mean, he just got turned into a bloodhound. And this was like a whole person. And they just did that to him.
Yeah, this was a person. Yeah. This was a Sidorak.
Well, that's like a lot of Dark Hunters. A lot of Dark Hunters started off as just regular people that were horribly mutated.
Mm-hmm. Started from the bottom, now we're here.
See, it's hard to get employment when you're a freak. When society sees you as a freak.
All except for that one guy who made himself into that.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah,
that one guy who fought the Toa in that one story we read.
Yeah,
That
the
guy.
one who wears masks as a codpiece.
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Codpiece. He started out as Matoran, and he built himself into that.
I love the Dark Hunters, just the like freaks and geek style of the Matoran universe.
Yeah.
And the Voporok started out as whatever Icarax species is called, apparently.
I don't think it's ever given a name.
Yeah,
I will say, if
They're just the Stealthians. They're from Stealth, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I have read going through A World Turned Upside Down from LostHead, which is an upcoming story for Vision of the Great Beings. He did very specifically use the Red Star Games titles for the Rakshi, like Barak, Zirak, etc. So we could probably assume that the Stealthians would use their names as well if we did end up having to write it for whatever reason.
What are
I
their
forget
names?
what that name actually is at the moment, but
Aren't
What's
there
wrong with
there's
calling them the
different
Stealthians?
classes of Steltians? And like, I thought it was like Sidorak was like a high class one and Kreka was a lower class.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
they
gonna
have
keep,
multiple species or castes on
I'm
that
just
island.
gonna keep being
Right.
a dumbass and referring to the species as a Sidorak.
It works. We all know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Evidently not, because I called that vortex a Rudaka earlier, and Mac I think was
Daka's
like,
too important,
Matt's like-
and she's still alive.
I
at that time.
love Bionicles.
yeah, I love
I love
Bionicles.
Biological Chronicles too, buddy.
Anyway, yeah. So Voprok had a chance at freedom, and it died. And then, is it a different story where the Voprok actually does bring the guy the mask, and the guy's dead, and the Voprok is just sad?
Yeah, that was in the epilogue for this one. That one was new when I rewrote this story a couple years ago. I think in
It's very
2020.
sad, and I love it.
Thank you.
I like feeling sad sometimes.
Me
Yes.
too.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on the story?
I like
I just really like how the guy is like, I am destined to wield the Mask of Time. Now I'm going to study time. What the fuck is this shit? Time? It's like the fact that he loses track of time while studying time means he was never going to wield the Mask of Time.
Yeah.
You just can't do that.
He's just
You
a
can't
silly
do
little
that.
guy.
If you can't properly wield the Mask of Time unless you
You can't have any
unless you
pudding
can-
if you don't eat your meat.
You
If
need
you
time
can't-
management skills.
if you need time management skills to wield the Mask of Time, you can't have poor time management skills while studying on time management skills. It's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work, guy. It's not gonna work.
All right.
this story and Annals of Icarax back to back just paints this picture that like everyone in the Brotherhood had their own personal plan, just butting heads with one another, and Pterodax just came out on top, which I kind of like. I like that everyone is
It makes
so
a lot of
conniving.
sense.
Yeah, I especially like the descriptive language here where it was Miserix is talking to Vidak in the courtyard, and he very specifically remembers during the mutiny in the Brotherhood when Pterodax first took over, where Vidak just kind of stood off to the sidelines waiting to see what everybody else would decide before siding with the winning side. It's like, oh yeah, you did that. Ow.
Yeah. No, it's very clear in just how he writes himself, or well, how you write him, obviously, but like how he's written. This guy's just so far stuck up his own butthole. Like he's just
Yeah.
Even how the story starts, it's like I'm only writing this, guys, to to detail my deals that I've made. But let me go on and on and on about myself.
It's like
And then he
it's
gets
just like
chopped,
one step below the opening to Annals of Icarax as well, where it's like I only write things so that I can read back my own achievements.
Brotherhood of Makuta, more like Brotherhood of Buttholes. Am I right?
You know, funny enough, I actually kind of realized both Annals of Icarax and this, the way they're written fit the personalities of the Makuta that wrote them.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Because, like, we mentioned with Annals of Icarax, it's more like direct as to like here's what happened type of thing. And that's very much who Icarax is. He's very much like, he doesn't think, he's not thinking about too hard. He's more like pragmatic, He cares more about like, he's very direct is what I'm saying, He's the brawn boy, he's not thinking too hard. So in his stories, he's not going into like crazy detail about, I'm
he's the Kreka of the Makuta.
Yeah, he's like, I'd say he's like smart. He's definitely smarter than Kreka. He's like decently intelligent. He just doesn't.
How dare you? He is not that stupid. No one is. He is not that stupid.
I'm just saying, like by comparison, among the Makuta, he is definitely the most single and simple-minded.
Yeah, I mean, he's just. Yeah, it's less of a inability to think intelligently, and more so like lack of interest in thinking of super complex schemes. It's just like he just doesn't care. He's like, that's not what he wants to do. He's like, doesn't satisfy him,
Yeah.
How dare you insult Kreka like that? Honestly,
he specifically says the reason he spends so little time managing Karzani is he doesn't give a shit. He just doesn't give a shit. It's not that he doesn't want to give a shit. It's that he doesn't.
Yeah, and
man, I'm gonna have a lot of censorship to do this episode.
Yeah, you will. Not for me though.
I'm so sorry, my guy. I'm just
At the very least, it's easy to undo the censorship for the YouTube upload.
Yeah, I got one more thing to say though, real quick, about the something I just realized about like the Icarax and Karzani, but I know we moved on from that story, but this sparked something. I was like, yeah, because it's like he already he's very pragmatic, and he cares about like the result more so. And from his point of view, in the case of his duties to maintain Karzani, he's like, what does it matter? We've already quarantined Karzani anyway. I don't have to do anything.
No plan, only winning.
Yeah, it's like, because like from his point of view, like he doesn't have to manage anything that goes into or out of Karzani, because it's like in his mind, it's like it's already been taken care of. Nothing can go in anyway. It's whatever, It's already isolated. What threat is it gonna be to the wider universe? So then he's lazy, because he doesn't think he needs to do anything.
The babies that live there are all depressed anyway. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. But because like the point of taking care of it is to make sure like the universe functions according to the Makuta's will or whatever. But he is kind of right. Whereas like if Karzani's kind of just like isolated, there's nothing he can really do to interfere anyway.
Who cares?
But then he gets overconfident in that or whatever, and then he slips up. But anyway,
both the stories have kind of the dynamic of I'm like Icarax is just I'm gonna overthrow Pterodax, and I have this ultimate plan. I just have to wait, and then we see 2008. Does he get like turned organic and then turned into atoms?
Yeah,
he gets devolved by Ignika and then gets vaporized in the storm with everyone else.
Both actually got killed by Gorast and
someone else did it to him.
Oh yeah,
right, yeah. But no, just both of them immediately pumped. Like they did not get their chance at the throne that they keep talking about in these stories.
Mm-hmm.
But anyone have any last thoughts that they haven't gotten out on?
All the Makuta is bitches.
Okay.
I'd say that between Even Exchange and Annals of Icarax, there's one really good parallel to the other stories that we've read this week of just this character exploration. It goes deeper into the minds of characters that we've not explored necessarily. Another thing that I really like of this is those two in particular do a really good job of showing why it is that Pterodax is the leader and has managed to get himself into this position in the Brotherhood, because all of the others just consistently make oversights. They consistently see themselves as just too good to really need to pay attention to the little guys. Their plans are incomplete, and it really does emphasize why Pterodax is the big threat, even compared to these pretty powerful creatures.
He's
even the
Makuta.
Yeah, even the stupid. Yeah, even the stupid. Even the
story in the beginning.
Yeah, even the stupid parts of his plan don't mess him over. Don't mess him up too much.
He rolls with the punches, I think, is the thing. He doesn't just get surprised and. He's like, okay, this happened. I can deal with this.
And we'll definitely see more of that when we get to Invasion.
And then when the Borak showed up, he was like, the Borak. I'm just going to take a vacation. I'm just going to take a vacation, sit this one out.
Yeah, as we established in one of the previous episodes, he just spent that era just sitting in his lazy boy watching Hookie on TV.
As a kid, I always thought that Takua awakened the Borak at the end of Monog, and that Pterodax just didn't have anything to do with it. So I just thought Makuta just did nothing after 2001. He was just staying out. He was just taking his time.
Lazy boy.
That's what you see. That's more Icarax style.
All right. Well, I mean, that sounds like we've said what we're gonna say.
Love triangle with Pterodax, Maku, and Hookie.
Hey, you remembered.
And remembered what?
This would normally be the part where you'd ask me what we're reading on the next episode, and I would be underprepared to answer that question.
I'm definitely trying to do that.
But like we already know what we're going over on the next episode because it was supposed to be on this episode. So
yes.
the Volporok epilogue with the Volporok, and that was it was like raiding the guy's kitchen and
we already discussed
cupcakes.
We already discussed that.
Yes,
we did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good job.
I'm a bit thankful for the epilogue too, mainly because a vision of the great beings that just gives him like a blank slate, but it also just works as an ending. Mm-hmm. But also, I'm excited to see where I could take him from here.
Yeah.
So
what's next time?
Does Okama know the Vahi's missing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he was in the 2008 scene. He's the one who saw it.
Yeah.
That's how we know.
He has like a flashback upon seeing him.
Yeah.
Anyways. Okay.
On the next episode... Yeah, on the next episode, we will be reading Legends Invasion, which we were supposed to get to this episode, but we very obviously
overstuffed today's schedule by accident.
Yeah,
and we had too many other stories to get through.
If we can't have you two on for that episode, Nikki and Lost, it was nice having you on this episode, and we hope to have you on for another one in the future. I think, actually, Nikki, you will be joining us for Reign of Shadows, The Untold Stories as well, yes?
Correct, yeah, I look forward to it.
Hell yeah.
It was nice meeting you.
Same to you.
I would say that I'm usually better, but that's a lie.
We'll see you on the next episode, everyone.
Dragon Ball Z.
Goodbye.
Significant shrinkage.
Wiggles.